But the power is too abundant, and the speed of absorption can't keep up with it. If you are drunk with oxygen, under such a high concentration of power, Yunwu feels that it may be oppressed by this power at any time. No wonder the master said that the inheritance was not so easy to accept. That's the reason. Cloud Dance thought in the heart. In my mind, I think of what Mr. Chin said before he disappeared: if I feel that I can't accept inheritance, I'd rather not inherit it than give it up, otherwise I will be destroyed. The spirit and the form are destroyed? Cloud Dance sneers in my heart. I don't believe it. It's just a small inheritance. How can it be difficult for me? Think about it. Cloud Dance heart read a move, the body's strength once again accelerated the speed of the circumflex. With the increase of that speed, the speed of absorbing power of your body is faster and faster, and the gap between the speed instilled in the jade brand is smaller and smaller. Just when the speed of Cloud Dance is about to catch up, as long as it is faster, the strength between the bodies will be balanced again. Clinker, the jade brand seems to be provoked, and the speed will soar again. More than ever before, the majestic power directly poured into the body of Yunwu. Just for a moment, Yunwu felt as if his body was going to be burst by the force. There were green tendons on the skin, and the blood vessels under the skin became red. What's the matter? Mu Xiuming stands up in an instant. Seeing that Yunwu has nothing to do, he thinks the inheritance is very simple. But I didn't expect that soon after entering the peak of Emperor Wu, the speed of that power was faster than once, and finally it was almost invisible to the naked eye. At this time, Yunwu immediately became extremely painful. Mu Xiuming's voice awakened all the people waiting. It was 2 hours since the last breakthrough, and their waiting was a little tired, but they didn't expect to change at this time. Huoteng and others also stand up from the ground and frown one after another. As expected, they see that the situation of Cloud Dance is very bad. Mu Xiuming hurried forward, and he almost arrived at the same time as the figure of the dragon. Sister Yun suddenly became like this. What's the matter? Huo Ling'er said anxiously. Although she had pills on her body and knew when each pill was used, she didn't know what was the situation of Yunwu now, so no matter how anxious she was, she didn't care if she was given any pills. Let me see. Mu Xiuming said and went forward directly. He grasped Yunwu's wrist and put his sleeve finger on her pulse. Long Qingxie stares at the fingers on Yunwu's wrist and tries to resist the impulse to peel him off. He is also very anxious. At this time, I began to think, why don't I know medicine? After Mu Xiuming felt his pulse, he spoke very fast, but he enunciated clearly and said, it's because the strength is too huge. Xiaowu's body can't keep up with the speed of absorption. Now her body is in a mess. This words Fire Spirit Sun immediately understand oneself should do what, hurriedly took out a pill from the space of carry-on. As soon as the pill appeared, the whole square was filled with danxiang. At a glance, we knew it was a high-quality pill. Then it was put into Yunwu's mouth. This Ling'er, how can you have this elixir? One side of the Fire Lin a face shocked looking at Fire Spirit Sun. How many pills Huo Ling'er has? As Huo Ling'er's tutor, he knows how many pills he has. However, even the whole Huoshi town may not be able to take out such a good pill, let alone her. When I was in the Xuanzi ear room, Sister Yun found it and gave it to me. Fire Spirit Sun head also don't return of say, eyes still tightly stare at Cloud Dance, eyes are full of worry. Once again, the people in Flint were shocked. Today, they are really stimulated too much. Now they know that Yunwu is able to give such pills to others. It can be seen that she is a worthy friend. But now, people's minds are all on the safety of Yunwu. The pill was melted at the entrance. As soon as it was put into Yunwu's mouth, it turned into a cool force and penetrated into Yunwu's body. Yunwu only felt that his body, which was going to be burst, suddenly got into a cool force. Compared with the force that he had been instilled, it was extremely cool. The collar was like a catalyst, which made the speed of energy operation in his body faster, and was close to the speed of the power in the jade brand. Cloud Dance finally breathed a sigh of relief, the body surface also slowly recovered. That's great. It's a good pill. Huolinger confidently said that she was really worried to death just now. Mu Xiuming felt the pulse for Yunwu again and said, it's much better, but we can't take it lightly. The strength in her body is still accumulating. If there is any abnormality again, we must give her medicine in time. It's important to help her in the future. Now it's getting shorter and shorter to close the tomb, but the Cloud Dance doesn't mean to stop at all. If the inheritance fails in the end, I'm afraid they will all stay here. Mu Xiuming's words just remind Hudeng on one side. Just because of the safety problem of Yunwu, he forgot the closing time of the tomb. At this time, after reminding, he suddenly remembered. This is a careful calculation, found that the distance to close only half an hour. No. The grave is closing, Hudeng said in a hurry, but after seeing the Cloud Dance, he didn't wake up at all. When Hudeng said that, people in Hushi town finally understood the meaning of Hudeng. If it was before, Hudeng might have a hint of waiting for the Cloud Dance. But just now, he saw the safety of Yunwu. At this time, he was more determined to leave. He could not press the fate of the whole Flint town here. Little 9 girls, where is the exit of this tomb? Hudeng turns his head and asks Xiaojiu. Small 9 raised an eye to see him, one eye, light of ask away, you want to leave? Yes. Hudeng said firmly. Although a little ashamed, as the city leader, I have to leave anyway, please forgive me. If I stay in the tomb, I'm afraid that the fate of Flint town will be unpredictable for hundreds of years. What's more, this time, I'm bringing most of the elite of Flint town. Please understand. I'm worried about Miss Yunwu's safety, but... A trace of shame flashed on Hudeng's face. You are welcome, Lord of Fire. Dragon Qing evil light mouth, from the beginning you are protecting her, is enough, we naturally can't let you bear the risk, Fire City Lord's worry can understand. Fire Ting heart a burst of relaxed, but then more guilt. In that case, I'll show you a way. Small 9 Light said, although for Fire Ting's behavior is not very like, but think of his master and the other side seems not much friendship, and the other side has helped a lot, then feel that they should also let them leave. From here down that road is the exit. Little 9 pointed to the most remote road and said to Hudeng. That road is not very difficult, but it is much narrower than other roads. Moreover, other roads can pass through some ear chambers, but that road is a dark one. In the end, there is nothing. For those who come to search for treasure, they will not take this road in any case, but it is this road that is the way to leave the tomb. Fire Ting looked, but in the heart is for small 9 words is very trust, at the moment arched hand, said, thank you. Then he stood up and said to Huolinger, who was still guarding the Cloud Dance, Linger, let's go. Huolinger reluctantly looks at the Cloud Dance and frowns tightly. Linger. The fire heaved again. Huolinger pursed her mouth, twisted her head and said, I'll stay and take care of Sister Yun. Sister Yun will be okay. This words Fire Ting directly froze. I only think of Hushi town, but I forget that Huolinger and Yunwu have long been friends. How can I leave with myself? Long Qingxia looks at Huolinger in surprise. Unexpectedly, this little girl is so affectionate. She can't help but praise her in her heart. This is not for fun. You'd better go back with us and wait for Miss Yunwu to come out. Huolin frowned and went forward to say. As a teacher of Huolinger, Huolinger is afraid of him sometimes. But recently, I don't know what happened. Huolinger didn't pay any attention at all. After listening to his words, he just said, I don't want to stay. Sister Yun needs to be taken care of. I won't leave until she's okay. Huolin saw that Huolinger had made up his mind. He was afraid that he couldn't persuade Huolinger to succeed, so he had to look at Huoteng. Linger, are you serious? Huoteng asked, frowning. Seriously. Huolinger affirmed, Sister Yun saved my life, but for her, I would have died in the grave, so I must stay. If it wasn't for Yunwu's taking over Xiaojiu and defeating the man beside Mulan, Huolinger, who was alone at that time, would have been killed long ago. How could he hold a lot of treasures around Yunwu? As soon as Huolinger said that, Huding knew that he could not persuade him. Well, in that case, you can guard Miss Yunwu for me in Flint Town, said Huding with a sigh. Huolinger nodded, his eyes firm. Later, Huding and others said goodbye to the people and left the tomb in a hurry. With them, there are many people who go back to the grave to search for treasure. When they find that they can't take the treasure out anyway, they finally give up. The time for the tomb to be closed has finally come, and only Long Qingxie, Mu Xiuming, Lin Yuntong, Xiaojiu and Huolinger are still with Yunwu. The square, which was originally hot and noisy, is very cold now. From time to time, Mu Xiuming feels the pulse for Yunwu and pays attention to the change of the power in Yunwu. Huolinger has fed her 3 pills in succession, but Yunwu still doesn't wake up. Instead, the power in Yunwu begins to accumulate again. The master is breaking through again. Small 9 surprised to see Cloud dance. Originally, I thought that the Cloud dance was just enough to give up the power behind, but I didn't expect that after waiting so long. Did Cloud dance intend to break through to the Wuling realm? As soon as the words came out, several people's hearts were almost raised to their voices at the same time. They stared at Yunwu without blinking, for fear that something might go wrong. Cloud dance only feels that the power in the body has accumulated to the extreme again, and breaking through the bottleneck of Wuling is not the same as several times before. This time, the bottleneck is more difficult. If it is not successful, I'm afraid it will bring strong trauma to the body. But even so, she still didn't give up. The power in her body rotated one after another, accumulating in each rotation. Finally, the strength has accumulated to the present. Even if there is still constant strength to instill in, Yunwu feels that the strength in the body is so full that it can't even work for a week. It's time to break through. Cloud dance thought in the heart. Then with one go, mobilized all the strength in the body, directly toward the bottleneck. As if by electric shock general, when the power hit the bottleneck, Yunwu shivered all over, followed by severe pain, but even so, the bottleneck did not even have a crack. I don't believe it. You can't break through a little Wuling. Cloud dance said coldly in the heart, once again mobilize the strength of the body, constantly toward that layer of bottleneck impact up. Not once, twice. Not twice, 3 times. In any case, we must break through the realm of Wuling. Boy, you must succeed. Long Qingxie felt the change of Cloud dance power and could not help thinking in his heart. The power in the body is constantly consumed in collisions, and then quickly absorbs the fresh power instilled into the body, becoming more powerful, and then consumed in collisions. In this way, the process of constant repetition, Cloud dance around the body as if breathing in general, constantly weak will be strong. Finally, the Cloud dance gathered a very powerful force, forced to hit the bottleneck. The bottleneck that has been hit extremely fragile, broke up in an instant under this powerful blow. Like a vast ocean of power, they rushed to the realm of Wuling. It's like the people who have been imprisoned in a closed space for a long time are finally liberated and enter the free world. The pain in the body disappears instantly. Wuling. Dragon's eyes suddenly brightened, and his eyebrows were filled with pride and joy. At the same time, one side of the small 9 breath suddenly changed, that because of the contract with Cloud dance and was suppressed in the realm of Emperor Wu's strength, and then Cloud dance promotion, also instantly into the realm of Wuling. Small 9 body twist, instantly turned into a white fox, behind 9 hairy tail, the whole body is suffused with white light, but only the size of an ordinary fox. This is her special mimicry, looks both lovely and charming. A coquettish fox call, small 9 one pair of slender fox eyes comfortable narrow up, strength promotion, let her feel very comfortable. Small 9 also promoted. Mu Xiuming screamed and waited for Xiaojiu to see it for a long time. Finally, he vomited out, it's better to be a summoner. The master will upgrade, and he will also upgrade. Small 9 white he one eye, obviously is fox form, but still like a person comfortable a lazy waist, then the body a twist, that appearance charm, graceful small 9 will appear again. Everyone was relieved. Seeing that Yunwoo broke through the Wuling realm, they thought that Yunwoo would wake up next. Clinker this time, sudden change. The strength of Cloud Dance is improved, and the following is the disappearance of the space prohibition in the tomb. The summoners who have lost their sense and all kinds of treasures on them have come back to contact with themselves. Cloud Dance clearly felt that the strength of their summoners increased greatly one by one, and all of them were promoted to the realm of Wuling. Then, the connection with Hyo appeared again, and the connection with Chaos Hall also came back. The map of the tomb in my mind is clearer than before. Cloud Dance in the heart of a burst of joy, know that this is the reason for their acceptance of more heritage. But the next moment, the Jade card seems to be unwilling to be absorbed in this way, and the power of pouring in becomes bigger again. Yunwoo immediately regained her mind and devoted herself to the acceptance and inheritance. The strength of the former Emperor Wu was not enough after he was promoted to Wuling. But even so, Cloud Dance in the absorption speed increased several times, compared with the speed of Jade card is still small c big witch. No. Cloud Dance in the heart is surprised, only feel the body pain feeling more and more strong, the power of the speed is faster and faster. Mu Xiuming eyebrows jump, immediately ordered, linger. Medicine fire spirit sun crispness living of promise, immediately put a medicine into the body of Cloud Dance. But this time it didn't calm down like before. I don't know if Yunwoo's body has developed resistance. The pill is fed in again, but the speed of Yupai is more fierce. Related to it, Yunwoo's body is instantly red. Under the skin, the tendons burst up. Originally, the body was a little bit thin. At this time, Yunwoo directly became a fat man. The clothes on the body are windless and automatic, hunting, like self-explosion. What's the matter? Hualinger was worried for a moment, and fed another pill into it, but it still had no effect. No more feeding. Long Qingxie drank coldly in a low voice, now is the last stage of inheritance. She can only solve it by herself. If she feeds her pills again, she will burst and die. This words Mu Xiuming directly stupefied. How can it be? On her own? What if she can't take it? Mu Xiuming roared anxiously. He's right. Small 9 light voice, eyes staring at Cloud Dance, just has been immersed in the joy of promotion, unexpectedly forget this stubble. Now think about it, can't help but tremble, master now can only rely on themselves, whether it is pills or other, as long as it is external force, will let the master can't absorb, finally just destroy. This is also the most dangerous place in the inheritance, either Cloud Dance to support the past, or burst to death. What if she can't take it? Do you really want to die here? Mu Xiuming asked with a frown. There's another way. Small 9 said, let the master give up inheritance, strength back to inheritance before. Mu Xiuming was stunned. Then he rushed directly to Yunwoo and said, Xiaowu, don't mess around. If you can't bear it, please give up, okay? Life is the most important. The words haven't finished, directly by Long Qingxie to carry the neck to throw behind. Long Qingxie's eyes were also full of worry. He looked at the Cloud Dance, but what he said was telling Mu Xiuming, don't disturb her, she will be square. What happened around Cloud Dance has no mind to manage, she now a thought is how long her body can persist. When Mingming was promoted to Wuling, his meridians had been tempered everywhere. Compared with ordinary people, his physical quality was much stronger. But now it seems that it is still too weak. Under the impact of that force, there is the possibility of explosion at any time. Do you really want to give up and go back to the strength before entering the grave? Cloud Dance said with a sigh in the heart. In the body's bearing is more and more big, but also can clearly feel that it is their limit immediately. Cloud Dance heart even has the meaning of giving up. No way. Cloud Dance in the heart a cold drink. Now at this time, I'm afraid that the tomb has been closed. If I give up at this time, I'm afraid that I can only stay in the tomb from now on. And I don't know when the next tomb will be opened. Are you really willing? There are so many friends with you. Do you want them to stay here for decades because of their own relationship? No. Cloud Dance Heart Alin immediately gritted teeth to insist down. The feeling of swelling and pain of the body is getting stronger and stronger, and finally it almost tears Yunwoo apart. But Cloud Dance can only gnash one's teeth, while enduring the severe pain, while desperately speeding up their own cultivation speed. Finally, to the limit. Yunwoo felt as if there was a tight string in her mind, which suddenly broke away. Her long-standing insistence disintegrated in an instant. Are you going to die? Yunwoo thought vaguely. When the dangerous voice in his mind sounded, Yunwoo knew that he could not hold on. Just at this time, the Chaos Hall, which had just resumed contact, suddenly trembled. A trace of the majestic power in the body was squeezed into the sea of knowledge. When approaching the Chaos Hall, he was suddenly sucked in by the Chaos Hall. Then, the whole Chaos Hall trembled violently, and Yunwoo could almost feel the excitement of Chaos Hall. The next moment, the first and second floors of the Hall of Chaos were opened. Like two bottomless caves, they happily absorbed the majestic power in Yunwoo's body. The almost visible power is continuously inhaled into the Chaos Hall, but the meaning of the Chaos Hall is not affected at all. What's the matter? Cloud Dance is suffering from incomparable pain, suddenly feel that the body pain seems to have disappeared a lot, consciousness has become a little clearer. This is a detailed look, found that the power absorbed into the body is flowing towards the Chaos Palace. Chaos Hall. Is it what Hyo needs? Cloud Dance thinks away, but Black AO doesn't know how to return a responsibility, although already restored and Cloud Dance of contact, but seemed to be busy. What general, didn't answer her words at all. The power of inheritance in the jade metal is still pouring in, and Chaos Hall has no weakness, swallowing all the power that makes Yunwoo feel uncomfortable. Cloud Dance a look, suddenly surprised. If you go on like this, you won't get that inheritance. So simply put everything behind you and continue to absorb that power. Now that you have the help of Chaos Hall, the pain in your body is slowly disappearing. You can see that the speed of Chaos Hall is much faster than that of Yupai. If you absorb some more at this time, you can just improve your strength. You don't have to worry that your body can't bear it. How have you been? Mu Xiuming looks at Yunwoo's body and recovers. He just wants to feel his pulse, but he is directly photographed by Long Qingxie. Don't touch it. Just now, her body is still very high. Now, if you touch it, it will hurt her. Long Qingxie coldly said, although the reason is very legitimate, but the heart is still not willing to let Mu Xiuming touch her. Mu Xiuming stares at him and shrinks his hand. Who let others say it right? After that, the power became extremely stable. No matter how fast the Yupai was, it could not match the speed of Chaos Hall. It must be because no matter how old the Yupai was, it was only the key of Summoner's inheritance. It could not be equal to the treasure like Chaos Hall, so it had to obediently submit. Little by little, Yunwoo doesn't know how long he has been practicing. He only knows that he has never opened his eyes since he closed them. After entering the Wuling realm, it becomes extremely difficult to promote, and the speed is much slower. After absorbing for a long time, it only reaches the middle stage of Wuling, and then the speed is slower. And inheritance has to stop. Yupai couldn't fight Chaos Hall in the end, and the speed slowed down slowly. It's over. Cloud Dance thought in the heart. Chaos Temple suddenly trembles, the two black holes that constantly absorb power suddenly stop. Yunwoo was surprised, and then the third door of Chaos Hall opened slowly. Chaos Hall, the third floor. The Cloud dances to know the sea, the shocked eyes look at that slowly open the third layer gate, for a moment unexpectedly speechless. The first floor, students. Second floor, dead door. What is the third level? Yunwoo can't wait. Just after the absorption of the Chaos Hall stopped, the jade plate seemed to admit defeat. The power of inheritance has completely entered Yunwoo's body, and the map of the tomb clearly appeared in his mind. At the same time, there is also a voice that seems to come from ancient times. From today on, I will be the successor of Chen Lao. May what I have learned in my life be able to wish you the best. Yunwu moved in his heart and remembered Chen's words. As soon as his consciousness flashed, he went into the third layer of Chaos Hall to explore the mysterious third layer. The third floor of Chaos Palace. What Yunwu didn't know was that when her consciousness entered the third layer, her noumenons suddenly disappeared in the square of the tomb. What happened? Mu Xiuming opened his eyes. Just a few people are still nervous looking at Yunwu, for fear that she can't survive. How suddenly people disappeared. As soon as he turned his head, he saw the dragon's face behind him. Even the breath completely disappeared. The dragon tilted and squinted and said that he had explored all around quietly, but he didn't find anything. The cloud dance would have disappeared out of thin air. Long tilted his head to look at Xiao Jiu and asked, should there be a connection between you and her? Small 9 eyebrows micro-pick, Light said, yes, but in my induction, the host is still before the place, did not leave. What? Mu Xiuming said, how can it be? There is no one here. The dragon tilted and frowned, stood up and went to the place where Yunwu had just stayed. He reached out and touched it in the air, but he didn't touch anything. If you just hide your body, at least you should be able to touch it. Long leans and frowns, saying that he doesn't know what happened to Yunwu, but his intuition tells him that Xiaojiu's reaction won't go wrong. The master is still there, but it seems it's blocked by something. Small 9 said, specific I don't know, but should be back soon. Wait for the master to come back, you ask again. At least for now, the master will not be in danger. Several people looked at each other, but Xiaojiu had already said so, and they could only believe it. Because of the contract, if something happens to Yunwu, Xiaojiu will respond. Now that Xiaojiu has nothing, Yunwu must be safe. At that moment, the crowd sat down again, quietly waiting for Yunwu to appear again. At this time, Yunwu didn't know that he had entered the third floor of Chaos Hall with his real body. The third floor of Chaos Hall is different from the first two, and the space area of the whole third floor is not very large. But it's not small. There is no lighting, but it looks very bright. There are milky white walls all around. The runes on the walls are looming, and there is a huge array carved on the ground. The array is now dim. Yunwu looked around curiously, but he couldn't see the magic of the third layer. What on earth is this for? Cloud Dance frowns to think of. The whole third floor looks very open. You can have a panoramic view of the whole floor at a glance. When you walk around, you can see the end. It's like a big playground, which can accommodate tens of thousands of people. Yunwu slowly walked to the third floor gate, reached out and stroked it. Suddenly, several lights and shadows appeared on the empty gate. Light and shadow slowly gathered into two words. The sight of cloud dancing was attracted in the past. Dumen. There are 8 of them, which are divided into 4 life and 4 death. Now it seems that every floor of the Chaos Hall has something to do with the strange door Duanjia. Cloud Dance murmured, frowning and thinking, what kind of door is this Dumen? Dumen is one of the 4 gates of life. When it is used in the Palace of Chaos, it will certainly play a defensive role. It can save people's name at a critical moment or help people out of danger. Be able to get out of danger. Yunwu raised his hand and rubbed his temple. Suddenly, he thought of something. He lowered his head and touched his right hand with his left hand. He felt the powerful pulse of his wrist. Yunwu was suddenly stunned. Is this my real body? Cloud Dance thinks away. Isn't Chaos Temple in oneself of no sea? Why can you enter the 3rd level? What is the function of the 3rd layer? At this time, the long-lost voice of Black Pride suddenly came to mind. Dumen, subordinate to Duanjia, is the most important part of Duanjia. It is suitable for hiding, and searching for people and objects. Black Proud voice light of spread, although the tone as usual, but it seems that more excited. Dumen, 1 more Dumen is equivalent to more students. And from the current situation of Cloud Dance, I'm afraid that this demon will be able to hide with his real body. Is this a great skill? If you meet a strong opponent in the future, as long as you can hide, who can catch yourself? Invisible hidden form. Cloud Dance Aleng, some surprised said, followed by the rapid rotation of the mind, and then contact their real body, immediately understand the beauty of this thing. So no matter who I fight with in the future, I will be invincible first. I can't say that. Hyo said, although your strength has made great progress, it's still a little worse than some real experts, such as the Shengguansheng of the Beast Gate. If you fight against each other, whether this demon can be effective or not is a matter of Tu Yunwu's size. It's still a matter of strength. His current strength should match Shengguanli's, but if he meets Shengguansheng, Cloud Dance's eyes twinkle, thinking of those people and their own plans, I can't help but take a deep breath. One day, she will stand on the top of the top and destroy all the people in the Beast Gate. Well, it's time to get out. Hyo said, I also want to know if this demon can bring your friends in to see the third level array and rune. I don't think it's just for one person. As soon as Hyo's words were finished, Yunwu's eyes brightened. Yes, ordinary stealth items can only make one person invisible, but now the third floor of Chaos Palace is so large, maybe it can really take other people to be invisible together. So Cloud Dance can't wait for the body. A flash instantly appeared on the square. Would Xiuming several people believe the words of Small 9, no Cloud Dance, nothing happened, has been sitting in place waiting for it. Sure enough, it wasn't long before the place where Yunwu had just disappeared was shining again, and the figure of Yunwu appeared in front of everyone again. It was just this time, but it was no longer a posture of continuing to practice. It was as if I had just come out of another space. I stood in front of the crowd with my hands on my back, with a pair of bright eyes and a faint smile on the corner of my mouth. Everyone was stunned, and some of them couldn't react. Master, congratulations on entering the Wuling realm and successfully receiving the inheritance. The Small 9 takes the lead to react, to come over, leak out the charmed smile of the sign, walk forward to say to Cloud Dance. Cloud Dance, surprised to see her one eye, seemed to be didn't expect Small 9 will call oneself for Lord Sun General, clear before all, don't want to open mouth. But Yunwu didn't care much. Some words are better to talk in private. Little Dance. You made it. Mu Xiuming then responded. After listening to their conversation, he rushed forward excitedly and grasped Yunwu's shoulder. Did you succeed in inheriting this tomb? Is everything here ours? Can I have 2 of those herbs? Have you really entered the realm of Wuling? So fast. Can you compare with me again and let me see the difference between the realm of Emperor Wu and the realm of Spirit Wu? Mu Xiuming talks incessantly and turns Yunwu's mind to his questions. Yunwu looks at Mu Xiuming helplessly. Even if he wants to answer his questions, he doesn't know where to answer them. By the way, Xiao Wu, what happened just now? How did you disappear? Mu Xiuming finally asked a key question. Cloud Dance, corner of the mouth a hook, looking at in front of the same confused people, mysterious said, take you to a place. As soon as the voice fell, Cloud Dance's heart moved, and it directly opened the gate of the 3rd floor of Chaos Hall. When people were wondering where they were going, they saw a faint soft white light. In the consciousness of Cloud Dance, we will wrap all the people in it. Then a flash, people have no feeling, they found that the surrounding environment suddenly changed. Just now it was just above the square of the tomb, but at this time it went directly to another place. The golden twinkling array and rune were hidden in the light white fog. What is this place? Lin Yuntong, who has always been calm, said in surprise. Long Qingxia looked around, and his last eyes were fixed in front of Yunwu. The Cloud Dances, the corner of the mouth a hook, pour also not conceal. It's something in me. Because the realm of martial arts and spirit has entered into the realm of martial arts and spirit, it opens up this ability. It can transfer people here in an instant and play the role of escape. In the eyes of the outside world, it is the disappearance of body shape and breath at the same time. And now that I let you in, it just shows that this thing can be used for large-scale targets. Cloud Dance said in a good mood. They all looked at Yunwu with strange eyes, and they thought, it's more and more against the sky, which is equivalent to being invincible. Cloud Dance calmly bare the eyes of the public, said, just got the ability, the specific is not sure, so I don't know if it can meet a powerful enemy cannot be found. After all, even now, it's enough. With a flash of light, the crowd reappeared in the square. Xiao Wu, where are you going next? Mu Xiuming came to Yunwu and said with a smile. Cloud Dance whitey one eye, this guy, don't want to let oneself return to Woodall boundary. In that case, go back. She was separated from her friends there. Maybe she could see them when she went back. At present, Cloud Dance Light said, back to the boundary of wood. On the other side, when Shengguan and Nangong opened their eyes again, a forest suddenly appeared before they met, and they couldn't see the end. In the hot summer, there were only a few bird calls wandering in the woods. The smell of leaves made Shengguan look at a loss. Then, he sighed helplessly. Have we been sent somewhere else? Shengguan looks around helplessly and turns to Nangong Yi's face. Nangong Yi looks around faintly. He doesn't speak at all. He doesn't feel depressed. He just stands quietly and looks like a human character. After a long time, he finally pointed to a place in front of him and said, go that way, the inn we've been to is in front of you. Ah. Not bad. Shengguan looked at the direction pointed by Nangong Yi in surprise and raised his mouth. Let's go, how far is it? Not far. Nangong Yi slightly raises the corner of his mouth and takes the lead in walking towards the front. Shengguan, with a smile, hurriedly followed him, and the two walked forward. The forest was so big that they couldn't see the edge at a glance. After walking for a long time, they didn't go anywhere. The hot afternoon had already arrived, which made Shengguan very depressed. He turned to look at Nangongji with a calm face, and was very helpless. You say that's ahead. How long will it take to arrive? If we go on like this, we will starve to death. Why don't you have a rest first? Nangong Yi said, turning around and sitting under the tree. I'm afraid you don't see where it is. Skimming his mouth, he took out some food from his luggage and handed it to Nangong Yi. They simply added some energy. Under the shade of the trees, the cool wind made Shengguan feel comfortable for a moment. He sighed contentedly, I don't know what the boundary of Mudu is like now. I'm afraid it has been occupied by the people of the Beast Gate. Nangong Yi closed his eyes, lowered his head, and sat cross-knee. He didn't plan to pay attention to Shengguan at all. Bored Shengguan picked up dogtail grass from the ground, held it in his mouth and closed his eyes. After a while, he suddenly heard the voice of the people around him. Shengguan opened his eyes and saw Nangong Yi standing beside him, looking down at him. Let's go, it's in front. My God, you just said it was in the front. Shengguan wailed. Nangong Yi glanced at Shengguan, turned his head and looked in front of him. There was a long road in front of a large forest. Shengguan immediately in front of a bright, ah. Nangongji quickened his pace and galloped towards the boundary of the wood capital. Maybe we can meet our friends. The upper official fart bumps within the South Temple East side, smile ha of say. In the scorching sun, the road hidden in the woods was blown by the wind, which raised the dust, so that both of them could not help squinting. Sure enough, not far away, the inn is located at the end of the road. The tourists who used to come and go sit here, drink tea and chat, but now, it's a lot colder. Come on, maybe the innkeeper knows something. Shengguan hurried to the direction of the inn, but was stopped by Nangong Yi and said, be careful of ambush. They closed their eyes at the door for a while and found nothing strange. Then they went into the inn. When I just walked into the inn, I saw that there were only a few people in the inn, and Xiao Er, who was sitting behind the counter and dozing. They found a table and sat down. Xiao Er, make a good pot of tea. I saw the young man behind the counter. Suddenly a smart sat up, and looked at Nangong and Shengguan sitting at the table. After a long time, he yawned. Then he rubbed his eyes sleepily, took the teapot, and walked towards them. Good tea, where is there any good tea? Now there are fewer guests. Alas, life is too hard. He poured 2 cups of tea for Nangong Yi and Shengguan. He yawned and went back to the counter. He fell down and fell asleep again. Shengguan raised his eyebrows and looked at the loveless little two in front of him. He shrugged helplessly. Can we order something to eat now? No, just have a drink and get ready to go. Small two lie on the table stuffy say. Shengguan was speechless and ready to go on the road. What a bad word. Nangong Yi took a sip of tea. He couldn't help frowning. He looked at the clear and light tea in the cup and silently put it down. He asked, has anyone ever been in here since the boundary of the wood capital was destroyed? Yes. Small two suddenly sat up, very surprised, went to 2 people in front of a look, said, a few days ago, a man and a woman went in, after entering never come out, they went in, also asked this sentence. Nangong Yi and Shengguan looked at each other and saw each other's serious surprise, so they were silent. For a long time, Nangong Yi suddenly said, let's take a rest and go. Qi Yi should have gone in. Shengguan nodded seriously, then turned his head and patted Shower on the shoulder, and said, do you see the people of the Beast Gate passing by these days? Small two one face is confused, looking at 2 people to shake head. Seeing that they may not be able to ask anything, Shengguan and Nangong Yi nodded, continued to drink tea and stopped talking. All of a sudden, there was a sound of footwork behind him. A man came in from the outside. As soon as he entered the door, he yelled at the counter, little two. A pot of good tea with that, sitting on a table in front of Shengguan and Nangong Yi. Xiao Er was stunned for a long time. Then he slowly picked up the teapot, went to pour water for the man, and said, we don't have many people here. How can we have good tea? Just drink it. The man didn't speak. He just picked up the cup and drank it. It seemed that he was thirsty for a long time. He raised his head and asked the young man, has anyone ever been in the wood capital since it was destroyed? Xiao Er blinked, turned his head, looked up at Shengguan and Nangong Yi, and said, maybe you know each other. At this time, Shengguan and Nangong Yi suddenly turned their heads, accompanied by Shengguan's surprise cry, ah! Isn't this Situlan? In front of him, Situlan quickly turned his head, looked at the people behind him, and said with a smile, my God, you really have no place to find. I knew you would come to the border of Mudu to find us. At this time, he saw a man in white sitting beside the Shengguan. He was stunned for a long time by his excellent appearance. This man's feeling was so familiar. His cold and delicate appearance made Situlan tilt his head for a long time. Then he tentatively asked, are you Nangong Yi Nangongji, who has taken off the veil, is really amazing. Situlan looks up and down for a long time, and then laughs with surprise, it's really Nangongji. Haha, that's great. I finally found you sitting next to Shengguan and Nangong Yi. Situlan was very happy and turned to Shower and said, let's have some good dishes. The second kid scratched his head and said, there's no good food. You'd better have some tea and go. Situlan laughs and takes out the meat of Warcraft from his luggage. He says, I killed the wolf and cut the meat. I'm afraid there's nothing to eat on the road. Let's cook it and take it. Xiao Er opened his mouth and looked at the left and right people. Then he took the wolf back, swallowed his saliva and went to the kitchen. The 3 sat at the table and drank tea. Xiao Er said that someone had already entered the boundary of Mudu, so it might be Meng Bai and Qi Yi's, or Xiao Wu. Shengguan said, looking at Situlan, maybe the people of the Beast Gate are still here, so we must hurry to find them, otherwise, they will be in danger. Situlan nodded seriously, just now, we don't know what's going on inside at all, so we should be extremely cautious, and we can't act alone. 3 people sitting there, and there is no one to talk about being scattered in other places encountered things, until the small 2 with meat came up, put in front of a few people. Shengguan smacked his mouth and looked at the fragrant barbecue in front of him. He immediately got excited. He tore off a piece of it and put it into his mouth. He was hot and exhaled, "Wow, it's really delicious." Situ Lan and Nangongyi both picked up the meat, tore off one and put it into their mouth to taste it. Suddenly, Shengguan turned his head and looked to the side. He saw Xiao standing beside him, looking at the meat among the three people, swallowing saliva, and biting another piece. Shengguan patted Xiao on the shoulder and asked him to sit down. "Come on, you also sit down and eat with us. By the way, tell us what happened to the boundary of Mudu during this period." Little Tu's eyes suddenly shine, turned to see Nangongyi and Situ Lan, seemed to be asking for their consent. Nangongyi ignored, but Situ Lan is smiling and nodding, and give Little Tu a place. "Maybe I haven't eaten such delicious food for a long time. I tore off a big piece of meat and ate it, very delicious." Looking at the Little Tu's eating, Shengguan reluctantly put his hand on his head, tore off a small piece, put it into his mouth and chewed carefully. "You said, have you seen people in black clothes coming in from here recently?" On hearing this, he nodded in a hurry. The meat he had not yet swallowed was in his mouth. He was very anxious to speak. As a result, he choked and coughed. Situ Lan poured a cup of tea for him, and he poured it down crazily. Then he wiped his mouth and said, "You're right. Recently, there are always people in black who come in from here, and then few people come out. I doubt whether they died in the house. It's too late." He tore off another piece of meat, put it in his mouth, chewed it twice, swallowed it, and continued, "So I said, you'd better not go in. What I see now is basically that there is no way out. I'm afraid that now the boundary of Mudu has become a dangerous place. Since the boundary of Mudu was destroyed, it has long been a dangerous place." Nangongyi frowned and looked at the gate of Mudu not far away. He didn't speak. "Let's go quickly, or maybe the people inside will have some trouble." Shengguan said, "Bite down a large piece of meat in his mouth, swallow it, smack his mouth full. How about you? Otherwise, let's go." Nangongyi slightly raises the corner of his mouth, turns his head, and suddenly reaches out and grabs Xiao's collar. Before Shengguan and Situ Lan could react, they saw that Xiao suddenly raised his hand, and a black fighting spirit gushed out of his hand and patted Nangongyi's chest. Nangongyi sneers coldly. He sidesteps and raises his hand to hold Xiao's neck. Suddenly, Xiao is picked up by him and thrown like a wall. With a bang, the wall of the inn was knocked and shaken, and the Little Tu spouted blood and fell to the ground. "I said, we give you meat to eat, and you even attack us." Shengguan is very helpless to squat down, looking at the ground gasping for breath of the small Tu, said, "Other people are not already in? They, on their way here, cough cough cough." Xiao coughed 2 times violently, and then he died. Several people's hearts sank, looked at each other, got up and walked out. "It seems that we can't delay. A little later, I'm afraid the people of the Beast Gate will arrive. I'm afraid we can't escape at that time. We have to find the 2 people inside now." Situ Lan's words were agreed by Nangongyi and Shengguan, so several people went out. Just walking to the gate of the border of Mudu, several people can't help slowing down. The city, which was prosperous before, has become a ruined city in a twinkling of an eye. The whole city is as silent as death. The blood of the past has been dried away. There was a sense of extermination. "I feel that something might happen here, so we'd better find them soon." Situ Lan frowned and looked around. Nangong and Shengguan nodded in agreement. In the world of Mudu, they felt gloomy, as if someone was staring at several people in the dark. 3 people all the way speechless, very vigilant forward, looking around the dead general city. "What do we do? Where are we going to find them?" Shengguan looked around in frustration. "After all, this place is so big, and we don't know whether what the Little Tu said just now is true, if not true. It's okay. Let's look for it again." Nangongyi frowned slightly, looked at the surrounding scenery and sighed. "We have to find them." In the chaos and silence of the city, a voice came suddenly. "This way." "Who knows, we seem to be trapped." What to do with that? Hearing the voice of one of them, Shangguan opened his eyes in surprise. It seems to be Qi Yi's voice. Two people around are also very surprised. A few people rushed to the front of the sound of the place. After a while, sure enough, I saw two figures in front of me. They sat on one of the steps and seemed very depressed. The three men ran in the direction of the two, and the Shangguan ran and yelled, "Qi Yi se. Meng Bai. Is that you?" The empty city was able to send out echoes. After several circles, the sound finally reached the ears of people over there. Nangong Yi's steps suddenly stopped. What's the matter? Shangguan and Situ Lan turn their heads and look at Nangong Yi standing behind them. They are a little strange. What happened? Nangong Yi didn't speak, just quietly closed his eyes for a moment, and said, "We seem to have entered an array." Before they finished speaking, the three of them looked behind them almost at the same time. The scenery behind them suddenly changed, and they didn't know each other. The way we came here has completely changed. It seems that we are really trapped. Shangguan felt a thump in his heart. In this case, he suddenly entered the Dharma array. Who knows if it was the ghosts of the people of the beast sect? Thinking like this, he felt very heavy. Suddenly, the two people over there stood up and walked towards the three people. They seemed to be a little uncertain and cautious. Three people stood in the same place, waiting for the two people over there to come this way. Are the people over there Meng Bai and Qi Yi's? Shangguan suddenly yelled at the opposite person, but saw that the two people there bowed their heads and said something. Then the woman's voice suddenly came, "Is it Shangguan?" Finally confirmed the identity of the other five people, quickly gathered together. This time, everyone finally came back. We've really been separated for a long time. Now, we finally meet, and there are only 5 of them left. Shangguan and others looked around, but they could not help frowning. But now we are trapped in the array, I feel very unsafe. There seems to be no danger in this array. Meng Bai said, "We just don't know why we can't get out. We've been looking here for a long time, but we haven't found out how to solve this array." Several people walked to a large open space in the center, sat on the ground and formed a circle. "We can't get out now, but because the second boy in the inn just now is from the Beast Gate, I think the Beast Gate people may be coming soon." Situlan said that he turned to look at Nangong Yi. Nangong Yi sat on his knees and said nothing. The atmosphere was a little tense, and everyone was silent. They sat on the ground and took the time to practice. They were on guard. Suddenly, there was a strong wind. Let all people cannot help but a tight, quickly stand up, fighting wrapped the whole body. It seems that the second child is right. The people of the Beast Gate have arrived. Qi Yi's frowned and his voice was very serious. However, after perceiving the realm of the companions around, everyone clearly laughed. It turns out that everyone has successfully broken through. In this way, today's battle should not be too difficult. Sure enough, a large group of people in black came here. We are now trapped in the array. We are just being hanged. Shangguan frowned and smacked his lips. He looked at the crowd in black outside and murmured. In front of him, countless people in black suddenly came over and cleverly surrounded the array, standing in a circle, surrounded 5 people. Around the dark array, I gradually feel that it's dark. We can only defend. If we attack, we are too hindered. Shangguan's expression became more and more serious. I saw countless people in black around, with strong and abnormal aura, which made several people's expressions gradually serious. The men in black are well trained. They are surrounded but don't go in. Obviously, they know that they will be trapped if they go in. The weapons in the hands of countless people in black, wrapped in black fighting spirit, shot at Shangguan and others. Several people abide, back to back, carefully deal with. We don't feel like we're in the net. Shangguan grinned bitterly. He turned to look around him. All the people dealt with him cautiously. No one paid any attention to him. Nangongyi glanced at Shangguan and said, "Don't be distracted. There are countless people in black fighting. They are all in their realm. Although the fighting is not so difficult, they are also very helpless. The continuous flow of people in black makes them have no time to care about others." Qi Yi suddenly frowned slightly and looked up at the person in front of him. He suddenly carried out a fight in his hand, turned into a whip, stretched out of the array, hooked a man's foot, directly pulled into the array, and threw it fiercely towards the ground. In an instant, the man in black had lost his breath. Nangongyi looks down at the ground. Countless small stones are scattered around him. Luck collects all the stones on the ground in front of him and shoots them out quickly. In an instant, the people in black outside scream and fall down. They don't stand up again. "Hello. I said. Don't look for all these minions. Let's play some important roles. It's boring for us to fight." Shangguan suddenly cried out helplessly, raised his hand to shoot out, and knocked down a large area of the man in black in front of him. Suddenly, the attack of the man in black slowed down a lot. "Since you've all said that, it's not very kind of me not to come and play with you for a while." A familiar voice came from the man in black in front of him. As soon as several people's faces changed, they turned their heads and looked up at Shangguan. Their eyes were full of murderous spirit. Shangguan coughed 2 times and scratched his head with a bitter smile. Saw in front of the crowd suddenly flew out of a familiar figure, immediately led a few people back a step, vigilant look at the person in front of. Shangguanli seems to be in a very good mood. He goes to the side of the array with a smile, backs his hands, looks at the 5 people in the array, and says, "It's really no effort." With that, he turned to Nangongyi. Nangongyi frowned and looked sideways. Shangguan gritted his teeth and said angrily, "If you have the ability, you'll come in, or you'll have no trouble." Before he finished speaking, Shangguanli suddenly raised his hand and patted Shangguan's chest. Shangguan was so nervous that he quickly raised his hand to defend himself. However, 4 people around him suddenly rushed forward to resist Shangguan's attack. All 5 of them felt that their qi and blood were surging, and they almost vomited blood, but Shangguanli stepped back 2 steps, and the corner of his mouth was covered with blood. The corners of the mouth of the 5 people couldn't help but stir up and attack the Shangguan. But Shangguanli was outside the array after all. They couldn't grasp Shangguanli's direction flexibly. They screamed outside for a while, but they didn't hurt Shangguanli. "What are you struggling with?" Shangguan gave a sneer and attacked several people. All of a sudden, 5 people felt the pressure suddenly increased, gritted their teeth, carried out the fighting spirit, wrapped the whole body, and tried their best to resist. A man in black is beside Shangguanli. He looks at 5 people trying to stop Shangguanli's attack. His eyes turn and he claps them in the direction of Qi Yi's. Suddenly feel a strong wind hit Qi Knight, eyebrows slightly wrinkled, but in front of the officially strong pressure let her simply can't escape. Suddenly, in front of a white shadow suddenly appeared, will Qi Knight behind, resist the black fighting. Nangongyi. Qi Yi's anxiously looks at the Nangongyi in front of him and shouts. He raises his hand and drags the man in black from outside. He presses him on the ground and pats him to death. Also at this moment, Shangguanli suddenly changes direction, mercilessly blows Nangongyi out. Nangongyi suddenly fell to the ground, coughed twice, spewed out a big mouthful of blood, covered his chest, and didn't stand up for a long time. 4 people instant quick red eyes, will South Palace block behind, the upper official raises hand to pick up the long sword to the upper officially mercilessly stab. In an instant, there was a roar. Qi Yi's quickly helps Nangongyi up. Looking at Nangongyi anxiously, he sees Nangongyi shaking his head at her, saying that he is okay. He wipes the corners of his mouth and reluctantly stands up with Qi Yi's help. But Shangguanli didn't plan to give up and attack 5 people more fiercely. After several confrontations with Shangguanli, several people were exhausted and panting. Looking at their appearance, they couldn't help laughing bitterly. I didn't expect that all of us arrived at the boundary of Muda by chance, but we happened to meet the Beast Gate. Maybe the people of Beast Gate have already designed all this. So all of them were caught. In other words, there are 2 less of you. Shangguan picked his eyebrows and looked at the people in front of him. He looked at 5 people from left to right and touched his chin with that. He raised his hand. In an instant, the man in black behind continued to attack. But these minions are really no threat. There are countless corpses of the beast sect outside the array. Shangguanli stands outside and looks at the 5 people in the array like a good play. We have to find a way to break this array. Nangongyi said that his face was pale and he was obviously hurt. This array doesn't do us any harm, which means it must be set up for us by friends. Situ Lan lowered his head and thought. Just then, Shangguanli suddenly slapped Shangguan. Before Shangguan could react, he was slapped with one palm, and his blood gushed. He had no strength to stand up. Seeing that 2 of the 5 had been injured, the atmosphere became more and more heavy. You said the array was set by a friend? Is it a little dance? The 2 of them Chi Se hears Situ Lan's words, can't help but frown to ask away. As soon as the words came out, Situ Lan's heart trembled. It's really possible. Don't forget that dragon has the ability to pour evil. But now the situation does not allow them to think so much. Shangguan attacks one move after another. After he is injured, his eyes are full of disgust. Well, that's rubbish. Shangguan said coldly. Shangguan sneered. He had no strength to stand up, but in the face of Shangguanli, he still had no fear. Friends around the moment will be surrounded by Shangguan, a face of vigilant looking at Shangguanli. We all broke through Emperor Wu, but we didn't even have the ability to fight him. Shangguan was behind them, coughing violently, whispering, and sitting on his knees to heal quickly. Nangongyi doesn't speak either. In front of him, Qi Yi's, Meng Bai and Situ Lan block them. When Yunwu was there, only 2 Wudi could escape from him, but now all 5 of them are promoted, and they are not rivals at all. Because of the array, they can only be beaten passively. For a moment, everyone hates the person who set the array. Shangguan was very proud with a smile. He looked down at his hand and suddenly jumped into the array. Shangguanli has come in. Meng Bai's face suddenly changed color. When he came in, didn't it mean that he was going to die? In this case, he couldn't get out, and 5 of himself couldn't get out, and 1 to 5 was more than enough for Shangguanli. The 3 men quickly surrounded Shangguan and Nangongyi and wrapped them in fighting spirit. Shangguanli, who entered the array, looked at the 3 panting people in front of him and burst out laughing. You people still want to fight with me? It's too tender. Raise your hand and grab Meng Bai's neck. As soon as Meng Bai's face changed, he took out his long sword and stabbed Shangguanli's palm. But in a moment, Shangguanli had disappeared from his body and had not yet reacted. 2 people around him had already been beaten out. Shangguanli pinched Meng Bai's neck and lifted him up. Meng Bai couldn't breathe, his face was red, his mouth was wide, his legs were kicking. Qi Yi's takes a look at it and draws out his sword to attack Shangguanli. However, Shangguanli doesn't want to dodge at all. He shoots it directly and knocks Qi Yi's sword out. Meng Bai and Qi Yi's come forward in a hurry, and they stab a sword at the same time. Shangguan's vigorous action was blocked, but he had to leave Qi Yi's behind and take 2 steps backward. How do you feel? This Shangguanli has become stronger. Situ Lan whispered in Meng Bai's ear, I'm afraid they're coming. It's useless. No way. Shangguan suddenly cut in and said with a relaxed face, we can almost draw with him before. Even if he becomes stronger, we will become stronger. Xiao Wu comes back, we can still draw with him, at least we won't be defeated. I don't know when Xiao Wu will come. Situ Lan grinned bitterly and looked at Shangguanli, who seemed to be watching his own plays, but think about it, now we are all stronger. I really want Xiao Wu to come and have a look. Now we can fight side by side with her. Several people watched Shangguanli warily, but they were chatting, which made Shangguanli angry. yelled, "How many of you have finished talking?" Shang Guanli's very arrogant smile, looking at a few people in front of him, laughing, "Children, I hope you can live longer, don't let me down too much." Before he finished speaking, Shang Guanli's whole body was suddenly wrapped by black energy. The black repressive atmosphere suddenly filled the middle of the whole array with pressure. Nangong Yi suddenly finished his work and stood beside Qi Yi's, surrounded by purple fighting qi. "Are you okay?" Qi night color didn't turn a head, just light of ass day, more light glimpses South Temple E, although the facial expression is some pale. But there was no big problem. Relieved, he turned to see Shengguan. Shengguan still closed his eyes and breathed quietly. Before the meeting, Shangguanli suddenly set out and rushed towards the four people. His body was like a phantom, leaving a remnant, which caught people off guard. Qi Yi snake sword forward a probe, unexpectedly once pounce on empty, hastily break footstep. Turning back to stab, he saw a flower in front of him. He was tight in his heart. He quickly raised his sword to defend. He saw the figure of Shangguanli coming near behind him. The huge pressure made Qi Yi's frown. But after seeing Shangguanli, Shangguan suddenly stood up and took out his sword to stab Shangguanli's back. Shangguanli has already felt the feeling of sword wind. He turns over and dodges the sword. He also misses the best corner to attack Qi Yi's and throws her on the ground. Qi Yi's finally regained her freedom. She touched her neck, gasped violently, and breathed the fresh air. Shangguan stood beside Qi Yi's, frowned at Shangguanli, and said to Qi Yi's, "Are you okay? We must not hurt anyone again. It's still possible to beat him together." Qi Knight nodded, 5 people back to back, for fear that the cunning Shangguanli will break several people one by one. Outside is the attack of the minions of the Beast Gate, inside is Shangguanli, which is close at hand. The pressure on a few people is enormous. But Shangguanli didn't give them time to rest at all. The stones on the ground were wrapped in black energy and flew towards 5 people. The stone came from the front with a sharp wind. 5 people raised their weapons in an instant and banged all the stones on the ground, but it was so painful that the Shangguan could not help showing his teeth. Qi Knight also not to be outdone, and raised the snake sword toward the official Li stab. Seeing this, Nangong Yi and Shangguan rush forward and attack Shangguan fiercely. The upper official on the opposite side suddenly raises his eyebrows and waves away the attack of Nangong Yi and Nangong Yi, but he sees Qi Knight in front of him approaching. Shangguan took a step back in a hurry and stopped all the 3 men's attacks. But it's not over yet. Meng Bai and Situ Lan shot at Shangguan in an instant. Shangguan looked at several people. He was angry and his fighting spirit suddenly overflowed. His fighting spirit expanded in an instant. A huge energy suddenly attacked the 5 people. Suddenly, several people had no time to cover their faces, so they were knocked down by the Shangguan. Shangguanli didn't stop, and didn't give several people the chance to resist. He clapped his hands in the direction of 5 people. The 5 suddenly turned pale. All of a sudden, a white light flashed in front of the 5 people. Before they knew whether they were enemies or friends, they saw 2 figures suddenly appear in the white light. "It's a good time to come." A familiar male voice suddenly came, which made 5 people feel excited one by one. The pressure instantly disappeared. 5 people quickly stood up and rushed to 2 people's side. "I haven't seen you for a long time. Did you miss us?" Dragon Qing evil hook mouth, a touch of evil smile, handsome abnormal, my little thing also said she miss you. Beside him, Yunwu stands quietly, looking at Shangguanli in front of him, and the clouds are light and the wind is light. Beside Yunwu, Lin Yuntong and Mu Xiuming also stand beside him, but it's just a tense moment now, so I didn't have time to introduce, long time no see. Cloud dance light smile way. Seeing Cloud dance, Shangguanli's face was a little ugly for a moment, but he still said with a smile, "We always meet like this. Little 9, little stink, come out." In an instant, Xiaozhou had rushed out and ran towards Sheng Guanli, while Xiaoqiu, circling in the sky, screamed sharply. After a few circles, he dived down and rushed towards Sheng Guanli. Gu Wu's sword was held in his hand for a moment. Yun Wu's eyes were cold and didn't speak any more. His whole body was full of fighting spirit. Gu Wu's sword was wrapped with thunder elements, and he slashed at Shengguan with lightning. As soon as the fighting spirit was urged, everyone knew immediately that this strange woman had already broken through Wuling. 5 people all looked at the figure of Cloud Dance in amazement, and their hearts were full of incredible. Originally, they thought they had caught up with Cloud Dance, but they didn't expect that Cloud Dance had already broken through Wuling before them. Gu Wu's broadsword cuts at Sheng Guanli's face without any fancy action. Sheng Guanli lowers his head and sneers. The black air is wrapped in the palm of his hand. He avoids the sharp wind and grabs at Yun Wu's wrist. Cloud Dance doesn't evade. Gu Wu broadsword side passed, slanting toward the neck of Sheng Guanli cut. Sheng Guanli heart shock, instantly avoid. Gu Wu's broadsword crossed Sheng Guanli's neck, and a bloodstain appeared under his neck. Whoosh of the wind, so that everyone was dumbfounded. This little dance is incredible. Shengguan could not help shaking his head and exclaiming, I thought we had the ability to show off to her at last. Long Qingxie stood aside and looked at Yunwu with a smile. In that way, he wanted to see his lover playing in front of him. Little guy, do you need me to untie this Dharma array? Yunwu frowned slightly, but shook his head, did not speak, and continued to attack the Shengguan. Sheng Guanli is also annoyed. He suddenly roars and pours at Yun Wu in front of him. As soon as they saw this, they all looked at each other and ran in the direction of Cloud Dancing. But all of a sudden, the One Beast men and others who had been standing outside attacking suddenly rushed into the array. The whole scene was a mess. 5 people and Cloud Dance were separated in an instant. In their hearts, the 5 people were in trouble. They took a long sword and stabbed at the men in front of them. They were wrapped up in fighting spirit. Basically, the minions of the 10,000 Beast sect could not get in. In a short time, the minions of the Beast Gate had fallen to the ground. A river of blood. Cloud Dance has been panting, constantly panting, looking at the front, Sheng Guanli also panting, the corner of his mouth raised a sneer. Yes, I underestimate you. You're growing up, too. Yunwu gasps, but there is a faint smile on her face. After a long struggle, they don't hurt each other. It's just that Yunwu's physical strength drops too fast. Sure enough, there is still a gap, so at this time, it's better to make a quick decision. Suddenly, Xiaoqiu came down from the sky and pecked at Sheng Guanli's eyes, but he was patted by Sheng Guanli and left for a long time with a sharp cry. Suddenly, Yunwu's face became more ugly. Little 9, up. Small 9 immediately rushed forward, behind 9 huge tails spread out, from the ancient authority toward the official Li attack and go. Cloud Dance also suddenly pours at Sheng Guanli Fei. Gu Wu's sword is in his hand, and there's a whir of wind. Sheng Guanli's face turns pale and turns to his side. Cloud Dance does not give an opportunity at all, backhand continues to slash toward upper official. It was very difficult for Shengguan to deal with it. At this time, the 8 people over there have already come to Yunwu and fight against the minions around them with Long Qingxie Lin Yuntong. The momentum of the 8 people made the minions of the Beast Gate tremble. Some of the injured people had fallen on their knees and vomited blood. Yunwu doesn't have a side head. She is fighting with Sheng Guanli attentively. However, she has already felt everyone's state. She has a confident smile at the corner of her mouth. She looks at Sheng Guanli and doesn't say a word. Today we're going to get together and talk about what we've seen and heard during our separation. Ha ha ha. Shengguan said out loud and laughed. As soon as everyone heard this, they couldn't help but raise their mouths and fight with high morale. Yunwu suddenly raised his sword and ran to Shengguan. The people behind are all behind Yunwu, but in the opposite direction, they are attacking the minions around them. Shang Guanli has already urged the fighting spirit, and the whole person has fallen into the black fighting spirit, and the expression on his face has been blurred. He sneered and attacked in the direction of Cloud Dance. As soon as Nangong Yi saw that it seemed dangerous, he quickly used his fighting spirit to transform the sword Qi and hit Shangguan fiercely. Shang Guanli was in a hurry to deal with it, and the cloud had already cut down on Shang Guanli. Shang Guanli obviously can't cope with it. There is a flash of white light around him. The dragon has come to Shang Guanli's back in a moment. Suddenly, Shang Guanli's face suddenly changes. But after weighing it, he decides to attack in the direction of Cloud Dance. Suddenly, there was a roar and smoke. Shang Guanli spewed out a mouthful of blood and stepped back several steps, but Yunwu was not comfortable either. She stepped back a few steps, and the blood was gurgling down the corner of her mouth. She wiped the corner of her mouth with an indifferent look. She lifted the sword and continued to rush towards Shang Guanli. Shang Guan gritted his teeth and looked at the speed of Cloud Dance. With a sneer, he raised his hand to uproot all the trees around him and smashed them in the direction of Cloud Dance. Yunwu raises Guwu's broadsword, which cuts the whole tree back like tofu, but she comes to Shang Guanli in the moment of cutting. Shang Guan's heart tightened, and he immediately attached his whole body's fighting spirit to his chest for defense, but the power of Cloud Dance was so powerful that he suddenly hit Shang Guan several meters away and hit a tree with dust all around him. Suddenly, everything was gone. A fierce cough came out of the smoke, which was obviously a man's voice, which made everyone light in an instant. After a lot of relaxation, Yunwu coughed twice, waved away the dust in front of him, spat out a mouthful of blood, and looked at Shang Guanli in front of him. Suddenly, a smug smile rose from the corner of his mouth. He's hurt. And the injury is very serious. I saw Shang Guanli had knelt down on the ground, his face was pale, his mouth was covered with blood, and he gasped in a hurry. He looked at Yunwu with red eyes, as if he wanted to eat Yunwu, but his embarrassed appearance made people around him feel funny. Long Qingxie stepped forward to hold up Yunwu, turned his head and glanced coldly at Shangguan. He lowered his head and asked Yunwu with worried eyes, "Little guy, what's the matter with you?" Cloud Dance light smile, said a voice to have nothing to do, "Stand up, go to the officer Li." But Long Qingxie frowned slightly, took her hand and said, "Little guy, have you had enough fun? This time, we should be able to kill him." Dragon Qing evil go-go mouth, and showed a pair of evil charm smile. In an instant, the friends around them all ran towards the direction of Dragon, but in an instant, countless people of the Beast Gate once again blocked everyone. Yunwu stood up and vomited. The purple fighting spirit enveloped his whole body. He turned his head and looked at the faces of the people around him in a hurry. With a smile, he and Long Qingxie rushed to the Shangguan. Under the sky of the whole wood capital, there was only a sound of sword fighting in the Dharma formation. The smoke of gunpowder was like a battlefield. The sky was bloody red, and the air was filled with a strong smell of blood. Shangguan looked at the countless beast minions coming up in front of him and showed his teeth. Why are there so many people? Is it difficult that these people are all free gifts? With that, he saw a small minion coming in front of him on the ground. Then, another person came up. He quickly sidestepped to avoid his attack, and threw his blood on the ground. Even if it's a free gift, how can it be? These shrimp soldiers and crab generals come up to die. Beside him, Mu Xiuming said with a smile that he would chop down a minion with his sword. Suddenly, everyone felt relaxed again. Look around you. The bodies of countless minions have been piled up under your feet. They are flowing with blood, but they don't make the people of Beast Gate feel timid. They still rush forward like crazy, and then they are beaten out by Shangguan and others. I can't bear to see it. At this time, Yunwu was already out of breath, and his hand was shaking so that he could not hold the knife. He tore a piece of cloth from his body, wrapped the knife and hand together, and then shot it at the person in front of him. Shangguanli had no strength to escape. He was hit with blood, and his face turned white. He lay on the ground in a panic, took a breath, and closed his eyes. I can't take advantage of it, and you won't take advantage of it. Yunwu looks at Sheng Guanli in front of him, but his mouth starts to sneer. As expected, although Sheng Guanli has become stronger, he is not invincible after all, because at this time, Sheng Guanli has vomited blood, panting, and seems to be unable to fight anymore. Cloud dances to pick eyebrow, also relaxed vigilance, Guwu big knife cuts toward the superior official in front of. But Sheng Guanli saw Yunwu slashing so hard, and turned around to avoid it, but he gasped and was exhausted. Finally, Sheng Guanli's staff gradually reduced, which made everyone feel relieved, but they all laughed when they looked at their embarrassed appearance covered with blood. After killing the few minions left by her side, the 7 people immediately relaxed and walked in the direction of Cloud Dance, thinking if they could help her. Little 9. Come back, Cloud Dance shouts. In an instant, Xiaojiu stands beside Cloud Dance and looks at Sheng Guanli. Sheng Guanli is weak and lying on the ground, but the murderous spirit in his eyes is very obvious. I don't think we need to waste our efforts. Even if Yunwu doesn't fight with you alone, now that so many of us join hands, you won't get any advantage. Mu Xiuming said with a sneer. Sheng Guanli raised his head and looked at the people in front of him. He didn't expect that they were not worth fighting before. Now they are so strong. Let's look at the large group of people around them. And his men, also have few left, the ground is covered with his men's bodies, immediately lowered his head to think for a while, suddenly got up, turned and wanted to leave. Dare to go. Long Qingxie picks his eyebrows, raises his hand with a wave of energy, grabs Shengguan in an instant, and claps him with one hand. Suddenly, Shengguan spat out blood and flew back. A long parabola fell to the ground with a bang, coughed twice, blood gushed in his mouth, covered his chest and gasped. He didn't stand up for a long time. Shengguan and others wiped the last 2 minions' necks. Then they came over, but they saw Shengguanli was knocked down on the ground, pale and panting violently. Shengguan sneered, looked down at Shengguan and said, I told you not to look down on anyone. With a cold hum, the corner of Shengguan's mouth raised a faint smile, but unexpectedly, Shengguanli suddenly flew up to Shengguan. Too close, Shengguan didn't have time to hide, and his pupils shrank, but Shengguan's sharp palm had already patted him. All of a sudden, he felt a dull pain on his body, which made him spew out a mouthful of blood. He stepped back several steps before stopping. However, he sneered and wiped the corner of his mouth. I don't think you're so good. He coughed 2 more times. Shengguan Li's face was pale. He knelt down on the ground and gasped for breath. He looked up at the eyes of Yunwu and others, but his eyes were full of murderous and unwilling. Yunwu came over and raised his sword to Shengguan. He said faintly, I think the fate of our meeting like this is up to today. Shengguan Li's face turned pale and his forehead was sweating. He bowed his head and thought about it, but suddenly clapped his hand at Yunwu, and then ran away behind him. In a twinkling, a white light flashed, and Shengguan Li disappeared. The world suddenly quieted down. Shengguan vomited, and finally collapsed on the ground with pale face. He was frightened by the cloud dance around him. He ran forward and cried, Is it all right, Shengguan? A stream of fighting spirit flowed into Shengguan's body. Suddenly, Shengguan felt much more comfortable and quickly sat up with his knees crossed to adjust his breath. Seeing that Shengguan was all right, Yunwu asked again one by one, and confirmed that it was all right. Then he vomited and sat on the ground. Long time no see, friends. Yunwu turns his head and looks at the people around him. Yes, I haven't seen you for a long time. Everyone has improved a lot during this period. Situ Lan smiles, turns to look around and sighs, but it's still Xiao Wu. You and Long Qingxie are the most powerful. You have already broken through Wuling. Yunwu didn't answer, but turned to point at Lin Yuntong and said, This is Xuan's wife, Lin Yuntong. What? The Lady of Snow Silver. As soon as Yunwu's words were finished, everyone was dumbfounded. Shengguan mouth smoked, Small 5, you go out a harvest is not small, so we can go back to find Snow Silver soon. Cloud Dance a corner of the mouth hook, said, not only that, you see. With that, Yunwoo lifted his hand, and a box appeared in the palm of his hand and opened in front of the crowd. Just for a moment, the next time the box would close again and disappear from Yunwoo's hands. However, all the people present could see clearly. The flower of rattan. All they felt was that they were about to faint. Before I thought that the biggest harvest is myself, but now it seems that the biggest harvest is Cloud Dance. They broke through Emperor Wu, but Cloud Dance not only broke through the realm of Wuling, but also got the flower of rattan and nine-tailed fox. She even saved Xuan's wife. In contrast, people feel that their little progress is not enough. Xiao Wu, how did you get so many good things? Let's talk about it. Shangguan said excitedly. Cloud Dance turns to look at the wood that stands nearby to repair bright, say, this should start from him. After that, we all sat down. For a long time, we didn't see many people. Unexpectedly, they all felt amazing about the experience of Cloud Dance. The young master of Mudu, the lady of Xuan, the blood corpse place, and the tomb of the ancient summoner all listened with great interest. They wanted to talk more about Yunwoo. When they finished, it was half an hour. Cloud Dance, which has always talked less, is still rare. It has said so much. Now we finally get together, and we are all very happy. And because we have experienced a lot of things, we all have a lot to say, so after the Cloud Dance is finished, people will talk about their experiences and adventures with each other. It's like 3 months after a day's absence. We all feel like we haven't seen each other for a year. With a smile, Situlan patted Nangong Yi on the shoulder, turned his head and looked at him, but suddenly he was surprised and said, ah. Nanmi, where's your veil? Nangong Yi light smile, Wei, has broken through, don't need. Everyone's eyes turned to Nangongji. Sure enough, I found out when Nangongji's veil had been removed. At this time, Nangongji, who was so amazing, was as handsome as a celestial being. Everyone could not help but praise him. He was really a beautiful man. Well, you don't know where I was sent. Just as everyone was talking about Nangongji, Shangguan suddenly interrupted everyone's voice, sighed and said, don't mention how dark this matter is. Then, he tells all about his life in Xiaojia tribe and how he met Nangongji. That little girl actually can slander me to insult her, you say, ah. All the people around me are smiling. On hearing this, everyone began to talk about their experiences after being transported to other places. Yunwoo lowers her head and laughs, listening to their stories. After many days of hard work, she finally gets relief after seeing her friend. She can't help but vomit, lift her cheek, and watch the crowd in front of her laughing. Long Qingxie sits beside Yunwoo and looks at Yunwoo's side face, little guy, you're really good. Should we kiss you? Then he put his face together. Cloud Dance slightly sighed head, indifferent to avoid Long Qing evil mouth, helpless sigh, turned to see Lin Yuntong. Are you okay? Did you get hurt? Lin Yuntong listened to these words, quickly smiled to nod to indicate that he is not hurt. But unexpectedly, he saw Shangguan, who was meditating and adjusting his breath, suddenly juggling, Xiao Wu, I'm injured, but you don't care about me at all. Said, but also made a very hurt expression in the heart, looks like people can't help laughing. He turned his head with a sigh. He couldn't bear to look at Shangguan. However, he heard everyone laughing and scolding Shangguan, and everyone began to joke again. Nangong Yi sits on the ground and quietly looks at Cheese Knight. For a long time, he is stunned and lowers his head. He doesn't know what to think. Well, in other words, we have been trapped in this Dharma array for so long. What can we do? Shangguan raised his eyebrows and asked, turning to see Mu Xiuming, what can you do? Mu Xiuming shook his head with a smile and said, this array is not set by me. How can I have a way? Then, Shangguan and everyone cast their eyes on Longqingxi again. The dragon tilted evil to smile, Wei, this kind of thing, you look for me not to be good at the beginning. At this time, Yunwu finally realized that everyone had been trapped for a long time. At this time, the formation was full of corpses of people from the Beast Gate, which was extremely bloody. It was better to leave as soon as possible and said, "Dragon, you can break the formation." Long Qingxie chuckled, but he didn't get up. "That's not easy, but you need a little guy to kiss you." A few people around me coughed violently. One after another, they feel that, why haven't they seen each other for such a long time? It seems that the dragon has changed into a person. What they don't know is that they have just gone through almost a separation of life and death. Why do they have so many thoughts? I wish I could hide the Cloud Dance. It's good love. Cloud Dance glanced at Dragon Qingxie lightly. Suddenly, Dragon Qingxie sighed, shrugged helplessly and stood up. "It's really a person without status." With that, he squatted on the ground with one hand and closed his eyes, but suddenly opened them with a slight frown. "You say it's strange. This array has no threat to us at all. It seems that it has no other effect except to trap us." So, all the people around were stunned, surprised. "Yes, it seems like this. What's the situation?" "Maybe it was set up by friends." Nangong Yi Light Wei turned to see to Dragon Poor Evil. Long Qingxie shrugged, "Who knows?" I closed my eyes and recited a few words. Suddenly, I felt a gust of wind coming on my face, and the whole array broke into invisibility. At this time, a dignified voice sounded in the air, "I don't want you to get together and talk more." An illusory figure suddenly appeared in front of several people. Immediately they were on guard and stood up from the ground. Yunwu coldly looked at the figure in front of him. He saw that he was a burly man in a black robe. His face was as tough as a knife. He just looked at them with a smile, but his breath made people feel very dignified, as if he were a born emperor. "You are the Emperor of Wood?" Yunwu was alert and looked at him calmly. To tell the truth, she didn't have much affection for the Mu Huang, although he gave Mu Xiuming the flower of Mu Ting to his own hands. But after all, they play with themselves and others in the palm of their hands without being aware of them, so as to achieve the goal of dealing with the Beast Gate. If their targets were not the Beast Gate, and Mu Huang didn't mean anything to her, I'm afraid she would have done it when she saw Mu Huang. Mu Huang chuckles and doesn't answer her. Instead, he raises his hand to Mu Xiuming, who is beside Yunwu, and signals him to go forward. Mu Xiuming obediently stepped forward and stood in front of Mu Huang. Then he respectfully saluted and said in a clear voice, "Father Huang." Mu Huang nodded kindly, and his dignity was reduced, as if a loving father was looking at his favorite child. It can be seen that although Mu Xiuming is only his adopted son, he is the same as his own child. "You did a good job." Mu Huang reached out to touch Mu Xiuming's head with satisfaction, but now he's just a ghost. He can only symbolically move on Mu Xiuming's head, but he can't really touch it. "Thank you for your praise." Mu Xiuming smiles gently, but there is a little loneliness in his eyes. His adoptive father, who used to be dignified, now has only a wisp of ghost. It's very sad that he feels like a hero in his old age. Mu Huang then looked up at some people in Yunwu and said, "I have no malice towards them. I set up an array for the next meal. I'm just afraid that they will separate and go to other places, so I'll use this array to trap you. It's just that I was surprised by the appearance of those beasts. I'm very sorry for that." As soon as Mu Huang's words were finished, everyone understood the cause and effect. If he doesn't say it, I'm afraid people will think that he's with those beasts. "How do you expect us to come back?" Long Qingxie asked, looking at Mu Huang's eyes full of exploration. Let's not say that he didn't like Mu Xiuming at all, but he went all the way with Yunwu without him. Now there's another father who uses a ray to trap his friends before meeting him. He's not so friendly. If he didn't believe in Xiaowu's eyes, he would have done it. The Wood Emperor felt that the dragon's evil attitude was not friendly, but he didn't mean to blame. Instead, he calmly replied, "You will come back. Even if you don't plan to come back, I'll find a way to get you back." Long Qingxie's eyes narrowed dangerously. Looking at Mu Huang, his eyes were more unfriendly. It seemed that he would attack directly next moment. When you were here, you had a big fight with the people of the Beast Gate, and finally you went to various places through the teleportation array. In fact, originally only relying on the destruction of the transmission array by the Beast Gate, you may not fall somewhere, or even enter the turbulent flow of time and space. The Wood Emperor slowly opened his mouth and said everything he had arranged. At that time, I saw that you were extraordinary and could fight as hard as the Shengguan. The most important thing was that you dared to provoke Wanwoman, and you knew their identity but didn't feel afraid at all. I felt very surprised, so I helped you when you were about to have an accident. Let's see. I think maybe you are the saviors of the world of Mudu. Long Qingxie didn't speak, because he knew that what the Wooden Emperor said was probably right. At the beginning, there was a problem with the call formation, which he could not control himself. In the end, several people came back safe and sound. He had suspected that someone had done it secretly, but he didn't think that this man was the Wooden Emperor who didn't officially meet until today. For a moment, the hostility of the dragon became weaker. Cloud Dance bowed his head and thought about the process of meeting Mu Xiuming, and what Mu Xiuming had said to himself before, so he said, so you did something to ensure the safety of several of us, and at the same time sent us to various places for training. All those places are dangerous, and danger and opportunity coexist. So you're waiting for us to come back one day, and you'll be able to take revenge on the world of Muda for your part? That's right. Mu Huang's tone suddenly excited. In fact, it's not all revenge for us. We are not the only ones who do evil deeds. Many races hate them to the bone. You are also on the opposite side of them. You must have killed them with the intention of destroying them. I have observed for a long time, and finally understand that you are the real leader of this team. Yunwu's eyes and the Wood Emperor's direct vision clearly face a superior emperor, but Yunwu's momentum is not inferior to him. You have talent, strength, and the most important thing is your heart. You hate all kinds of beasts. So I let my only adopted son get close to you, then guide you to make progress slowly, and finally come back here to get together with my friends. I only hope to see you destroy the Beast Gate with my own eyes one day. Cloud Dance's vision flashed, in the heart suddenly to the Wood Emperor several sent admire. I didn't expect that the Mu Huang in the world of Muda would still have such a mind. Now there is only a wisp of ghost left, but he still keeps the hatred of the people in mind. He trusts her so much that he presses the future on her. Don't worry, I will completely destroy the Beast Gate. Cloud Dance says coldly, the vision is very firm. But Mu Huang shook his head and said, if you want to destroy the Beast Gate, you need to gather the power of the 5 natures. Now I've got 4 of the 5 forces of nature, and I believe I'll get the last one soon. Yunwu turns to Lin Yuntong. She is Xuan's mother. When she is sent to Xuan, the 5 forces of nature will be able to gather together. But then, Mu Huang poured a basin of cold water on her head. You haven't got the complete 4. The rattan flower is incomplete. When they were stunned, the Shengguan first reacted and said, wow. It can't be true. Incomplete? I said, why are you so immoral that you don't send a complete one even if you send it out? Half a free. What about the other half? Cloud Dance raised a hand to interrupt the words of the superior officer. The vision looks at the Wood Emperor in front and asks, what do you mean by this? Mu Huang's eyes looked into the distance. Some could not bear to say the following words. Do you have a warcraft named Seaton? You summon him first. Everyone looked at Mu Huang curiously. Didn't they say something about the flower of Muteng? How come it's about Shiteng again? Does Shiteng know where half of the rattan flowers are? There was a premonition in Yunwu's heart. He hesitated a little and didn't know whether he should call him out. Master, let me out. Shiteng's voice sounded in the sea of knowledge, incomparably calm and calm. Cloud Dance Aleng, how to listen to the voice of Shiteng, it seems that he knows what general. If you really know why you have to hide it from yourself. Think of the time when Shiding was contracted, and think about Shiding's attitude for such a long time. Yunwoo thinks that his master is really unqualified. Is Shiding afraid that he always has some bad feelings in his heart, or even never really identifies with himself? All kinds of thoughts flashed in my heart. Yunwoo finally called Shiding out. The light of the call array flickered, and then Shiding's figure appeared in front of the crowd. Then he went to Yunwoo and called, "Master," to Yunwoo. Cloud Dance nodded, turned to look at the Wood Emperor, asked, "I called out, you can tell me what is going on." The Wood Emperor looked at Shiteng, then his eyes lit up and said with a smile, "Yes, that's him." Everyone was at a loss. What was the Emperor doing? It's so mysterious. Shangguan couldn't keep his breath any longer. When he heard this kind of words, he was annoyed. So he directly asked, "Hey, I'm talking about you. What's the relationship between you and him in the end?" You say, "Don't talk so much, okay?" The Mu Emperor ignored the words of the superior officer directly, turned to look at Yunwoo, and said, "The boundary of Mu-Du has always regarded the flower of Mu-Teng as a sacred object. Only the highest ruler of Mu-Du could have it and protect it. But hundreds of years ago, there was a big war in the border of Mu-Du. At that time, the Mu Huang used the power of the flower of Rattan to end the war, but for some reasons, the flower of Rattan was also damaged, and finally divided into two. Half of them disappeared, while the other half remained in the border of Mu-Du. For hundreds of years, what we have guarded in the world of Mu-Du is the half-flower of Rattan. As for the other half, Cloud Dance in the heart move, in the heart a surprised guess what, but still open-mouthed to ask, the other half turned into human form, right? As soon as the words came out, the Wood Emperor did not respond, but the other people directly exclaimed. What? Everyone said with one voice, shocked eyes instantly on the body of Shiteng. In the past, I didn't feel much when I was fighting. I just felt that the power of elements on Shiteng was special, and it seemed to be very strong. But now, Shiteng seems to be the other half of the Rattan flower. Shiteng stood there quietly, looking around. Since he was born, he was very confused about his life experience. He knew that he was Warcraft, but what was Numenon? Now I know, but suddenly I feel relieved. He is the summoner of Cloud Dance. He knows what he may face next, but he has no way. What he can do now is to stand here quietly, waiting for Yunwoo's next command. In fact, he knew why he needed to be himself from the moment when he was asked to come out. That's right. Mu Huang nodded. Give Cloud Dance a positive answer. They all looked at Shiteng standing there in disbelief. For a moment, they had mixed feelings. The vision is changing between Shiteng and Yunwoo. Half a Rattan flower can't open the boundary layer of the Beast Gate, can it? Lin Yuntong asked. Yes. Mu Huang gave a positive answer, the power of half a Rattan flower it's too small. Everyone looked at each other. It seems that if you want to give full play to the power of the flower of Rattan, you have to restore the flower of Rattan first. Finally, Shangguan asked, well, how can the flowers of Rattan be restored to their original appearance? Mu Huang looked at the Cloud Dance that had not spoken since then. The words in his mouth were extremely cruel, I need your Warcraft heart. This time, no one said anything, and the atmosphere became much heavier. Mu Xiuming pursed his lips and stood beside Mu Huang. Looking at the Cloud Dance standing in front of him without saying a word, he suddenly felt sad. Although he didn't know Yunwoo for a long time, he had a thorough understanding of the nature of Yunwoo. Although Yunwoo is not soft on the enemy, and doesn't like to talk, and doesn't even smile much, as long as she is identified as a partner, she is really in the heart. The relationship between Yunwoo and her Warcraft is just like the relationship between him and Xiao Sha, and even more profound. At this time, it needs her Warcraft heart. Mu Xiuming didn't turn his head. He didn't have the heart to see Cloud Dance. Even if there is a little other way. After a bit of thinking, Mu Xiuming thought about whether he could do it if he was himself and Xiao Sha. Everyone did not speak. Everyone held their breath. Even Shangguan, who always loved to speak, closed his mouth. His sight was wavering between Yunwu and Shideng. The life of Warcraft is important, but it's also important to destroy the Gate of Beasts, but kill your own Warcraft in order to destroy the Gate of Beasts. There was only one thought in everyone's mind: this problem is too difficult. The only thing that can make a decision is Cloud Dance. Master. Seeing that all the people were silent, Shideng stepped forward and came to Yunwu. Yunwu looked up at the person standing in front of him, with calm eyes. The beast men are extremely hateful. If they don't get rid of them, there will be great disaster in the future. Shideng light said hair, as if he said is a very far away from their own things in general. But anyone can hear it. What Shideng means is to let Yunwu choose to give up him. Don't give up the long-standing confrontation with the Beast Gate just because of this. Cloud Dance's eyes flashed slightly, reached out and patted Shideng on the shoulder, and said, "Your idea is good, and you know the overall situation very well." The corner of Shideng's mouth is hooked, showing a smile. But the depth of the eyes is still lonely down, just cover up very well, no one found it. There was also a sense of loneliness in everyone's heart. Sure enough, Xiaowu still chose to give up Shideng also. After all, it's a big deal to deal with the Beast Gate. How can you give up so easily? The life of Shideng is lighter than that of thousands of creatures in the world. Almost everyone's heart flashed such an idea. Only Dragon Qing Evil a person did not agree to see Cloud Dance. Then he closed his eyes and fell asleep, as if Yunwu had nothing to do with him. Now that it's decided, let's start as soon as possible. Mu Huang was also very shocked, but he took it for granted. Originally, he thought that Yunwu would hesitate for a while. At first, he must have disagreed with Yunwu. Then, after his persuasion, he finally agreed. But now it seems that the Cloud Dance is really decisive. In order to destroy the Beast Gate, it gives up its own Warcraft. Yunwu raised his right hand and turned it over. A box appeared in the palm of his hand. It was the box that Mu Xiuming used when he gave it to her. After that, he never changed the place. Cloud Dance's heart read a move, the box opened, the flowers inside the rattan immediately sent out a strong wood elements. In an instant, people felt as if there were infinite vitality in the surrounding environment. With a wave of his hand, the Wood Emperor wrapped the crowd in a barrier, and the rich wood element never sent out again. This rattan flower is also the target of the Beast Gate. You'd better be careful. Mu Huang said, "My barrier can support at least 2 hours. It's enough for you. If the people of the Beast Gate can't find it, you can start directly." The Wood Emperor's words all listen to then understand, only afraid today is the death time of Shiteng. Cloud Dance light of saw Wood Emperor one eye, say, "That starts." Shiteng consciously stepped forward and untied his clothes. Facing Yunwu, he raised his head slightly and closed his eyes. The next moment is probably the most important one in his life. Cloud Dance holding rattan, constantly led it in the hands of rotation, eyes on the heart of Shiteng position, thoughtful. I don't know if it's because of the induction. The light green light around the rattan flower symbolizes infinite vitality. After the appearance of Shiteng, people found that the location of Shiteng's heart seemed to be flickering with green light, which seemed to echo with the flower of rattan. It's really the flower of the other half of the rattan. Shangguan exclaimed. Originally, I wanted to use the reason that, maybe Shiteng is not the flower of rattan, to prevaricate the past, but the clinker appeared. Now, there is no doubt in people's hearts. Just when everyone was wondering if they wanted to stop what might happen next, Yunwu's palm moved, and the rattan flower flew directly to Shiteng in front of everyone. Everyone was stunned. What's the matter? Shouldn't it be to take out Shiteng's heart? How can the flower of rattan fly towards Shiteng? Mu Huang was also surprised. He thought that something had gone wrong and said, "What's the matter? Is something wrong?" Cloud Dance mouth a hook, clear voice resounded in everyone's ears, the tone is very firm, "My partner, how can die in my hand?" Yunwu's words are confused. It's clear that Shiteng has already said that he is willing to sacrifice. Why until this time, people think carefully and find that, from beginning to end, Yunwoo has not said that he will let Shiding sacrifice. What do you mean by that? Mu Huang looked at her in shock. You know, the only way to break the defense of the Beast Gate is to gather the power of the 5 natures. If you can't break the defense, you will never be able to destroy the Beast Gate, and you will never be able to get back the revenge of killing the family in the world of Mudu. He put all his hopes on Yunwoo. Is he going to lose here in the end? I watched the flower of rattan fly towards Shiding, and crossed an arc in the mid-air. Finally, when I came into contact with the light in the heart of Shiding, the 2 kinds of light merged into one. No. Mu Huang opened his eyes and wanted to stop, but he was just a ghost. Even if he had time, he had no ability to do it. Finally, the light of the flower of rattan and the light of Shiding merged into one, and then directly melted into Shiding's body in front of the public. In an instant, the green light is in full bloom, and the rich wood elements are emitted. This is the power of a complete rattan flower. Compared with just now, the concentration of wood elements is almost like 2 worlds. Even a few people who are not summoners feel the change of wood elements in the air. Fortunately, there is a boundary set by the Wood Emperor. Otherwise, this concentration will be emitted, not to mention the people of the Beast Gate. I'm afraid Warcraft will attract a lot of people. When the light dissipated, the wood element finally stopped emitting, but the smell that had just been emitted in the air did not disperse for a long time. Shiding looks at Yunwoo in shock, some can't believe it. Master, you. Yunwoo raised his hand and waved it casually, saying, absorb it, you are a complete flower of rattan. Everyone can't believe their ears. Unexpectedly, in the face of such a big problem, Yunwoo can still attach so much importance to emotion, and there is no hesitation between the actions. Everyone's face showed a surprised application, only the corner of Dragon's mouth. That's exactly what he expected. Originally, he thought Cloud Dance refused, but he didn't expect Cloud Dance to cut off other possibilities in such a crisp way, and let others have no way to persuade her. The little guy is really smart. He is worthy of being a man of the heart. Long Qingxia thought with pride in his heart. Looking at the people around, none of them even guessed the idea of Cloud Dance. The dragon was more proud in his heart, and even the radiance of his mouth was bigger. Why are you doing this? Mu Huang murmured, a touch of sadness flashed in his eyes. Do you know that the only way to open the gate of 10,000 beasts is to gather the 5 elements? Now you integrate the rattan flower into his body, and he is an independent individual, and can no longer integrate with the other 4 elements. You alas. Mu Huang shook his head. He thought that Yunwoo wanted Shiding to absorb the power of rattan flower and then merge with the other 4 elements. It was just an unintentional mistake. But Yunwoo's next words shocked him even more. I know. Cloud Dance Light said, because he has been an independent individual, with his own thoughts and life, so I can't decide his fate for him. What's more, he is my partner, and I will never let my partner sacrifice in vain. Yunwoo's eyes are firm and her tone is beyond doubt. Well said. Shengguan clapped his hands, looked at Yunwoo with bright eyes, and said, this is the little 5 we know. Their relationship with Shiding was not good, and they were also entangled in their hearts just now. But things happened so fast that they didn't even have time to tangle up with a result, so Yunwoo made the action directly. It was all too fast, but it also showed that Yunwoo didn't even have time to hesitate. Thank you, Master. Shiding, Shua, knelt down on the ground and saluted the Cloud Dance heavily. When he finally worshipped, he had to lie on the ground for a long time before he got up. When I raised my head, I was indifferent on my face, but there was something different in my eyes when I looked at Yunwoo. Go back first. Cloud Dance said. Then, let Shiding go back to the space first. Shiding left, and everyone looked at each other. Although the Cloud Dance's behavior is very shocking and moving, but the problem is the most critical. Mu Huang frowned and looked at Yunwoo, with obvious displeasure in his eyes. You gave up the chance to deal with the Beast Gate. Mu Huang's voice is very dignified, can let people clearly feel his displeasure. I just gave up the rattan flower. Cloud Dance looked at Mu Huang's eyes and looked at him fearlessly. It's just a layer of defense. Even without the flower of rattan, as long as the strength is strong enough, it can still break it. Mu Huang frowned. Strong enough? How strong do you want to be? Do you think your willing strength is powerful? It's so hard to deal with Shengguanli, not to mention other people. Don't forget. Among all the beasts, there is a Shengguan tomb. Cloud Dance lightly glances at him one eye. Don't agree to this kind of words. Wuling is not powerful enough. Cloud Dance murmured, but one day, I will reach that height. It's enough to break the defense of the Beast Gate and kill the most powerful man in the Beast Gate by hand. Clearly is a very flat tone, but I do not know why, said from the mouth of Cloud Dance, it is inexplicably exciting. Mu Huang's heart trembled, and he looked at the woman again. A beautiful face, even if it is said so openly, but as if just casually said, a homely face without any pride or conceit, not to mention discouraged or inferiority. Only a pair of eyes bright amazing, flashing a firm light. I don't know why, Mu Huang suddenly felt that one day, this Cloud Dance can really be as powerful as she said. Alas! After a while, Mu Huang sighed and said, it's all destiny. Well, who let me bet on you? Cloud Dance looked at him suspiciously, didn't understand what he said. Father, you. Mu Xiuming frowned and looked at Mu Huang. He was worried, that thing. The Wood Emperor whitey one eye, impatient of say, no, I won't give. Hearing this, Mu Xiuming finally laughed and said, I don't mean that. I just want to remind you. Cut, elbow out. The Wood Emperor said again. Then, when the palm is extended, a green light flashes in the palm, and finally condenses into a green light, as if the previous light is locked in it. Yunwu and others curiously looked at the things in Mu Huang's hand. Although they didn't know what it was, they knew it must be a good thing at a glance. The light gradually becomes more and more solid, and finally condenses a green pendant in the hands of Mu Huang. That appearance, unexpectedly, and Cloud Dance in the hand of several other pendants almost the same. Green pendant. Cloud Dance surprised said. I didn't expect that this trip to the world of Woody Capital was really right. Originally, it was just to look for the flowers of Woody Vine, but now, even the green pendant is in the hands of the Woody Emperor. Mu Huang chuckled and said, you must be looking for this too. Cloud Dance calmed the excitement in the heart, said, yes, this thing is also what I need. Mu Huang raised his hand and let the pendant float in his hand. He was not afraid of the clouds, so he put it in his palm. Soft eyes looking at the green pendant. It's the most precious thing in the world of Mu Du apart from the flowers of Muteng, it's the most precious. I always take it with me and seldom show it to outsiders. Cloud Dance's eyes flashed slightly. After thinking about it for a while, she said, I need 4 natural forces together, so I need this green pendant very much. If I can, I'm willing to exchange it with you. Or it can be borrowed temporarily. When I use it up in the future, it will be returned to its original owner. This words Wood Emperor but roared with laughter. Ha ha ha, you are a little fellow, but you are not so easy to be favored. Mu Huang raised his hand and stroked his beard and said, since I have taken him out, I can give it to you. It's just not a change or a loan. If you want it, I'll give it to you directly. With a wave of the Wood Emperor's hand, the green pendant crossed an arc in the air and flew straight to the cloud. Yunwu reaches out and catches the pendant steadily. When he starts, the strong force of wood strikes. It can be seen that the pendant must be real. Yunwu is not polite and receives it directly into the space. Write more about Mu Huang, and please rest assured that one day, I will destroy the Beast Gate and avenge the world of Mu Du. Ha ha ha. Mu Huang laughed wildly again and said, you little guy, although you have a bad attitude, I like your temper. A man who values emotion, righteousness and firmness of heart will make a great achievement. This time, I will lay all my bets on you. I hope that one day, when you destroy the Beast Gate, you can also wake me up from my deep sleep. As for my adopted son, I will stay with you. I wish you a helping hand. Having said that, Mu Huang kindly turned his head and looked at Mu Xiuming beside him, and said, "Son, you also need to refuel." Mu Xiuming moved in his heart and nodded hard. The Wood Emperor just smiled a little, the body slowly becomes transparent, finally turn into a ray of light to flash into the wood to repair a piece of jade that Ming's neck hangs. Mu Xiuming reached out and touched the jade plate where the spirit of Mu Huang was placed. He murmured, "Father, wait for me. I will find a way to repair my soul. I wish you a new life." Long Qingxie frowned. Although he was grateful for Mu Huang's generosity in his heart, he was upset at the thought that Mu Xiuming had been told to stay with Yunwu. "I didn't expect that Mu Huang was so generous. You gave the flower of Mu Ting to Shideng, but he was not angry." Lin Yuntang sighed and said, in the heart also had some admiration to the Wooden Emperor. Yunwu nodded and thought the same. In fact, before she did that, it was just to block other people's way and let them stop thinking about Shideng. The flowers of rattan are their things, but her own way is not right after all. Don't say that. Let's find a place to settle down first. The flowers of rattan are gone. We have to discuss the next action. Cloud Dance said thoughtfully. They all nodded and looked at the surrounding environment of Mudu. Thinking of the inn they had stayed in before, they decided to go back first. After all, it was the nearest inn to here. After the decision, they immediately set out to the inn. Before long, the party had arrived at the inn where they had stayed. At this time, the inn has been empty, dilapidated, leaving only tables, chairs, benches, and empty counters. Shengguan first came in and looked around. He could not help sighing, "I didn't expect that when I came here again, it was like this." A group of people walked in and put the two big tables together. A large group of people sat down around the table. Cloud Dance pondered for a moment, then began to say, "Since we finally get together, then the business should be put in front." After a few words, everyone calmed down, turned his head and looked at the Cloud Dance. Suddenly, the atmosphere became more serious. "At present, we have grown a lot and we have made breakthroughs. Although we have just met again, it is a pity that we will be separated again soon after." All of them were stunned for a moment, and then they were all silent. "This time, I'm going to join forces to expel the people of the Beast Gate." Yunwu was silent for a moment, and sighed heavily. "We need to go away to all forces, invite all forces to join our camp and destroy the Beast Gate together." We all sighed, looked at each other, some bitter in the heart, but what can we do? Such a heavy past makes us more cherish our friends and brothers, but also more understand our mission. That. Mu Xiuming suddenly made a sound, interrupted Yunwu's words, raised his head and looked around. "For a long time, I finally laughed, and I laughed miserably. Maybe I have some miserably here." Scratching his head, he saw that the people around him were full of tenderness and smile. He suddenly sighed and said, "I can use my identity as a young lord to summon the people scattered around the world because of the destruction of my family. Maybe not many people, but I believe they will fight for revenge." Cloud Dance listen, the corners of the mouth hook up a faint smile, that smile, beautiful to let a person suffocate, that good, that please you. "Where are you going next?" Yunwu looked around and saw that all the friends around frowned and pondered. He said, "Well, this trip, we'll go together in a group of two. On the one hand, we need to go to many places, so we must not delay on the road. On the other hand, our realm has been improved so high that it's not a problem for two people to go to one place. So, after careful consideration, it seems that there is no opinion. Because I need Long Qingxie to accompany me to untie the Dharma array that trapped the fire beast, so I will go to the top of the volcano with Long Qingxie, and then I will go to the human world, and he will set up the transmission array for each place." Yunwu turns her head and looks at Long Qingxie. Long Qingxie looks at her with a gentle smile. Over there, Chi Yi's looked at Mengbai, bowed his head and pondered for a moment, and said, let's go to the top of the desert with Mengbai. After all, we come from the direction of the desert and have helped the people there. I've inquired about it. It's very close to the top of the desert. We've met other tribes on the way of training, so we can convince them together. The top of the desert. Cloud Dance frowned and thought about it, and said, I'm afraid you may not be able to succeed. After all, it's no matter where it is. Now I don't know what it is like. Why don't you go to the 2 tribes you've been to first, and don't go to the top of the desert for the time being? I'll meet you when I finish dealing with the top of the volcano. Yunwu's words are reasonable. After all, she has established her own team on the top of the desert, so she is very clear about the situation there. Chi Yi's and Meng Bai looked at each other and nodded. Although they are all Emperor Wu, they are still a little uneasy at the top of the desert. Then Nanganji and I will go to the 2 tribes we have been to. Shengguan said that he took a light look at Nanganji. But see South Palace E also saw him one eye, didn't express what, just hang down 2 eyes, silently expressed to agree. 2 people in the heart have some helpless, did not expect to just leave from there not long to go back. Situlan was very helpless and said with a bitter smile, since you have all gone to these places, I will go to Wengo Island for a try. The islanders there once asked me to help her solve a crisis. Their strength is not bad. Maybe they can help us. Well, that's a deal. Cloud Dance turns his head, looks at Lin Yuntong beside him and says, I said I would take you to find Xuan, so you should follow me for a while. As soon as the words of Clinker and Cloud Dance are finished, Dragon Qingxia on the other side is not happy. He still wants to take the opportunity to live in the world of 2 people. Xuan is in the headquarters of the Beast Gate. Even if she follows us, can you promise to take her there? This words Cloud Dance can't help but frown. This is indeed a big problem. It was an accident to see Xuan at the beginning. Now it's really difficult to see Xuan again. Why don't you just let her stay? I think it must be very hard for this boy to gather the residual strength in the world of Mudu. Why don't you just let her stay and help? Long Qingxia smiles at Lin Yuntong and says. Lin Yuntong Aleng, looking at the Long Qingxia's appearance, then understood what he meant. It seems that if he followed, it was really eye-catching. At that moment, I had no choice but to shake my head and say, I'll stay. Mu Xiuming gritted his teeth and glared at Long Qingxia. I make complaints about the world of 2 people. What's the big deal? If he wasn't really short of hands, he would want to follow him directly. So can I, Master. 2 voices said in one voice. Cloud Dance Aleng, immediately after the call array a flash, small stink and red fire dragon figure appeared in front of everyone. Ma, I can go home to find my mother and let her worry about the power of the Phoenix family. The Beast Gate is so hateful that they have long wanted to fight with it. Little Stinky waved his fist and gritted his teeth. Master, I can go back to the Dragon Clan and persuade them. Red Fire Dragon stands beside Little Stink, eyes firm say. Their status in the clan is not low. If they can stand up now, it will have a great effect. Yunwu nodded and said, okay. Then I'll give you 2 days to be fully prepared, and then I'll set off immediately and go to various forces. I hope you can get something. Look at the sky, it's very late, a bright moon hanging in the air, quite a bit of parting, which makes everyone feel sad. It's too late. The inn is no longer run, so we can only be self-sufficient. Shengguan touched his stomach and said, after all, we haven't eaten for a whole day. Now we are too hungry to stand up. Situ Lan looked at Shengguan helplessly and said to everyone, otherwise, we'll go to prepare dinner now. As soon as I heard the dinner, everyone's eyes lit up. They could not help touching their stomachs and licking their mouths. I'll get some game and come here. Who are you going to fight the fire? Shengguan said with a smile. He jumped out of the stool excitedly and ran to the forest at night. He disappeared in an instant. Oh, wait for me. I'll go too. Mu Xiuming yelled and ran to the dark forest in pursuit of Shengguan. Qi got up coldly in the night and went to the kitchen of the inn to have a look. He came out and said, "There are firewood and pots here. Don't worry. There are quilts and pillows in the room above." Upstairs, Meng Bai, who didn't know when to go upstairs, said with a smile. The atmosphere suddenly relaxed, the breeze was gentle and cool. Nan Gongyi sighed and walked out of the inn. Standing under the faint light curtain from the inn, he looked at the sky and said nothing. Qi Yi's, who is preparing to sit down in the room, looks at the white clothes like snow standing outside the inn. He is slightly stunned. He quietly walks out of the inn and stands beside Nangongji. "What are you looking at?" Qi Nightlight asked, in different tone, let the side of Nangongyi turned his head, looked at her, and raised his head. "Light Wei, look at the moon. The moon is round today." Qi Yi's also looked up at the moon hanging in the sky. "It's like the moon of the Zhou dynasty." Nangongyi carries her hands, and her clothes are moved by the breeze. "You miss home." Qi Yi smiles a little. The smile on Qi Yi's face is rare. Nangongyi lowered his head and looked at Qi Yi's. The expression on his face was gentle. "Will you come back safely?" Maybe he didn't expect Nangongyi to ask suddenly. Qi Yi seemed very surprised. After a long time, he nodded. "That's nature." Nangongyi keeps looking up at the moon. "I didn't expect you to be such a man like a god's mansion." Qi Knight suddenly prays, let Nangongyi lang for a long time, and then pursed his mouth, did not speak. "Will you come back safely?" Qi Nightlight said, did not look at Nangongyi, but the eye is a little red. "Take care. Don't worry." Nangongyi lowers his head, fingers gently across Qi Yi's eyes, seems to want to touch her nose, but Leng Leng, put it down again, sighed, "Never say a word more." This was full of reunion atmosphere of the full moon night, but suddenly full of sad parting. Immersed in sadness, they were suddenly interrupted by a cry. "I hit the hare." Shengguan laughed and came to us with Mu Xiuming, holding 4 or 5 rabbits in his hands. "That would be wonderful." Situ Lan came out of the inn with a smile, took the hare from Shengguan and Mu Xiuming, and went to the inn. After a while, Meng Bai suddenly came in with several jars of good wine and put them on the table. Immediately attracted everyone's attention. "Ah! Where did you get this wine? Is there anyone else around here?" Just then, Meng Bai laughed. "I've seen the bartender go under the tree to get the wine, so I remember that just now everyone was busy, so I went to dig out these jars of wine. Once, can think of the past, can't help but let everyone feel sad." Silent for a moment. Mu Xiuming's eyes turned red and sighed. "Yes, once, it was a prosperous city, and the inn was full of people. And at this time, looking at the empty inn with only a few of them, it's really bad in my heart." It seems to feel the sadness of Mu Xiuming. Yunwu comes forward and pats Mu Xiuming on the shoulder. His eyes are very firm. "You must believe that we will give you revenge for your country and family." Mu Xiuming was so moved that he quickly opened the wine jar. In an instant, the smell of wine came to his nostrils. All over the inn. "I poured a bowl of wine for each of you, asked you to hold the glass together, and said, 'It's unfortunate that my country will perish, but it's my greatest luck to meet you. Let's take the bowl and pour the wine.'" When the cool wind blows, everyone feels comfortable. Shengguan sighed and sat on the edge of the table, looking at the scenery outside. The scenery of the boundary of the wood capital has always been so beautiful. Everyone around us drank wine bowl after bowl and talked about the past and future. It seemed that the inn had become a happy place again, although there were only a few of them. "Little one." Long Qingxie suddenly came to Yunwu's ear, spitting hot air at Yunwu's ear, with the smell of wine and the evil smile, which made the temperature of the whole inn rise abruptly. "I think we should spend time together. After all, we have to leave so long, don't you think?" Cloud dance a little smile, touch a little hot face, sigh. accompany me to go out for a walk. He turned to the crowd and said, let's go for a walk. Remember to call me when the hare is ready. After that, take the lead out of the inn gate. Situlan patted his forehead and said, look at me, I forgot about the hare. Wait for me to roast the hare. Then he ran to the kitchen. Shangguan also stood up, ran to the kitchen and yelled, wait for me, I'll help you. In less than half an hour, the delicious smell of barbecue came out from the kitchen, and everyone felt their stomachs growling. They couldn't wait for Situlan to take the roasted rabbit to the table. Mu Xiuming ran out and called Yunwu and Longqingxi. They sat together again, tearing the barbecue on the table. I wish I could live such a wonderful life all the time. Meng Bai sighed, but we have a heavy responsibility. We don't know how hard the road is in the future. Such a day, I think we will have it after we defeat the beast gate. Qi Yi's drank a mouthful of wine and said faintly. The moon has been gradually down, east of the fish belly white. By the time the sun came up, all the people were drunk on the table and had a sweet sleep. The warmth of the morning filled the room. Yunwu opened his eyes, looked at the people around him, rubbed his eyes and walked out of the inn. After a while, everyone had woken up and heard the whispering talk inside. Yunwu walked into the room and looked at everyone. Well, you've started to prepare to leave recently. We can't stay in the wood capital for a long time. We have to find a place to buy things. We can't leave unprepared. Everyone should be one after another, simply clean up a bit, everyone out of the inn, in twos and threes together toward the woods. 2 days passed, and it was time to part. Before dawn, Yunwu came out of the inn. Other people are also immersed in sleep. Cloud Dance turned to see the inn for the last time, lightly toward a direction. Just fly out not far, see in front of a tree, Long Qingxie is lazy rely on there, Long Qingxie smile face evil 4. It's so slow. It seems I've said goodbye to them. Long Qingxie reaches out his hand and embraces the Cloud Dance in his arms. He says with a smile. Although they don't need to separate for the moment, when the array at the top of the volcano is released, they will go on their own. So while there are few people now, it's a while to hold more for a while. No one's awake. Cloud Dance Light said, seems to know the Dragon Qing evil mind, but also did not push him away, but said, I always don't like to say goodbye, it's not reunion. Dragon Qing evil mouth hook, know the nature of Cloud Dance, no longer say anything. A handsome face directly approached Yunwu, and, Bo, stole a fragrance from her face. Let's go. Before the attack of Cloud Dance, the dragon's evil arm tightened, which directly suppressed the action that Cloud Dance could resist. Cloud Dance helplessly shakes his head, freeing himself from dragon's evil arms, and then summons Jinling out. Master. Jinling shouts to Yunwu, and then directly shows the Numenon, and the huge Pengniao appears in front of them. Long Qingxie didn't wait for Yunwu to move. He reached out to stop her waist and took her to fly up. The two of them sat on Jinling's back. Jinling's wings spread, and they flew straight ahead. From the border of Muda to the top of the volcano, where the teleportation array had problems, it took Jinling 2 days and 2 nights to reach the border of the top of the volcano. Flint. Yunwu and Yunwu, who had just left, came back here again. Jinling stops in the forest outside Huisher town. Yunwu and Longqingxi come down from his back, and then let Jinling return to his own space. If we can bring Flint town into our camp, it must be a big help. Cloud Dance looks at the tall gate of Huisher town not far away and says to the dragon nearby. Long Qingxie hugged the cloud and shook his head with a smile, saying, I think it's difficult. Although Huidong attaches great importance to loyalty, the most important thing for him is the thousands of residents in Huisher town. It's a great challenge for him to join us directly. But Huolinger will support you unconditionally. Think of that in the tomb has been guarding in their own side, has not worried about their own lively girl, Yunwu mouth hook. Although only a few days away, but it seems to have left for a long time. If Huolinger sees himself again, will he be very happy? Come on, let's go in and have a look. Think of these, Cloud Dance some can't wait to say. Originally intended to come out of the tomb will be part of the score to her, but the result is too anxious to forget this stubble. Now I come back, just can thank Huolinger for what he did at the beginning, by the way we'll decide to make up for. Stop. You are from Yulin Town. No entry. Cloud Dance. Two people haven't reached the gate of the city, suddenly hear the voice coming from the front, so they stop one after another, looking forward to the front. At the gate of the city, a group of soldiers were checking the passing people with weapons in hand, and what they stopped was a group of servants surrounded by a carriage. The servants looked arrogant and domineering. Why don't you let me in? Do you know who's in this car? Zhang De, the rich man of Yulin Town. Why don't you let me in? The group of soldiers on the opposite side remained unmoved. No entry is no entry, as long as you are not from Huisher Town, you are not allowed to enter. Hurry up and go. Cloud Dance, a little surprised to see the dragon around the evil, said, it seems that we go these days, Flint Town has a big change. Long Qingxie stared at the dispute in front for a long time, and finally said, it seems that we have to sneak in to find someone. If we rush directly, we will fight. Yunwu nodded, and then walked into the woods with Long Qingxie. The third floor of Chaos Hall opened, and a light white smoke came out, covering their bodies. Soon, Yunwu's figure disappeared in this place, the Lord's mansion of Huisher Town. Huolinger was anxiously walking around the room, walking back and forth, and his mouth kept saying, what should I do? What should I do if something happens to Dad? Why am I so useless? How can I delay my father? After walking for a long time, Huolinger stopped, as if he had made a decision, and said firmly, no. I must go and have a look, even if I can't help, just in case. With that, Huolinger turned and walked out. At the door, two big men stood on both sides of the door, arms raised, directly blocked the door of the room to death. Miss, the Lord said, you can't go out. They said with no expression on their faces. Both of them are Huiding's dead men. They only listen to Huiding alone, and they are powerful. They will not let Huolinger out easily if they watch Huolinger here under Huiting's command. Get out of the way, all of you. I'm going to find Daddy. Huolinger said angrily, I'm the master. You will listen to me, miss, we only listen to the Lord. The Lord asked us to protect you. We must listen. They said coldly, just like two people without feelings. Dad, it's really dangerous now. You might as well help your father instead of guarding me here. Huolinger roared. They didn't speak anymore, but they stood still, their arms motionless. There was a boarder in the room, and there were two hands at the door, so Huoling couldn't go out at all. Huolinger was so angry that she broke into the two men's bodies and was pushed back by a force. The strength was not big and didn't hurt her at all, but she couldn't resist it anyway. Miss, you'd better stay inside. When the Lord comes back, he will let you out. They said. But Dad is in danger now. Huolinger is hysterical. Seeing that the two people still don't move, Huolinger directly closes the door. With a loud bang, Huolinger sat on the bed angrily. In the room, only Huolinger sat helpless by the bed, worried about the safety of Huiding. If only I had the ability of Sister Yun too. Fire Spirit Sun murmurs of say. The next moment, a long-lost voice sounded in the room. What's the matter? Huolinger was stunned and suddenly raised his head to look around the room, but he didn't see Cloud dancing. Sister Yun. Huolinger called softly, and his eyes were still looking around. A mass of white smoke slowly appeared at the bedside, and finally became more and more solid. In the smoke, two figures slowly appeared. When the two figures appeared completely, the white smoke wrapped around their bodies gradually dispersed. Sister Yun. Huolinger shouts in surprise and pours directly at Yunwu. Yunwu smiles and holds her in her arms. She reaches out and touches her head. His voice was as cold as ever, but he was a little softer in the face of Huolinger. What happened? Hearing Yunwoo's question, Huolinger no longer cares about the surprise of reunion. He raises his head from Yunwoo's arms and says anxiously, "Sister Yun, please help my father." As soon as Huolinger's words came out, Cloud Dance and Dragon Qingxia looked at each other. It seems that there is something wrong with Huoshi town. Since you left, I went back to the city, only to find that Huoshi town was heavily guarded. Later, my father would not let me go out. Until today, I found out that my father was gathering forces secretly. It was like there was a war. I asked a lot of people to know that after my father came back, those people in Yulin town were jealous of the things in the tomb, and they didn't get any benefits, so they joined hands with other towns to attack us, saying that we colluded with outsiders to take the treasure from the tomb to put out Flint town and make up for their losses. Cloud Dance eyes a cold, is Moose City Lord them? Even taking advantage of her leaving to attack Flint town. It seems that this trip is really timely, but to let those people have a good memory. Where is the Fire Lord now? Long Qingxia interrupts Huolinger's cry and directly asks the most crucial question. In at the top of Warcraft Mountain. Today is the day that Yulin town declared war. Dad took almost all the soldiers in the city to fight to the death. He also said that I was not allowed to go out, and he gave a death order when he left. If he doesn't come back tonight, let my guards take me out of here. Huolinger said with a cry. It was because of these orders that she was extremely flustered. When she thought of Huoding's general arrangement before leaving, she was inexplicably afraid. Sister Yun, you must save your father. Yunwoo and Longqingxi looked at each other, nodded silently and said, "Don't worry, we'll go now." After that, he led Huolinger to open the door of the room. The two people guarding outside the door didn't know when there were two more people in the room. They suddenly cheered coldly, "Stop! Who are you?" Put down the old lady. Yunwoo raised his hand and pushed them away with a strong force. He said coldly, "I Yunwoo want to save your lord now, so don't block those who know each other." After that, he took Huolinger to the direction of Warcraft Mountain. The two gatekeepers were stunned. Cloud Dance. Not the one in the grave the other day. Warcraft Peak. On the top of the whole mountain lie a large number of people, as if they had just experienced a war and were resting. Fire. I advise you not to struggle anymore. Do you really think that with the strength of your Firestone town, you can resist the combined strength of our 5 towns? The main station of Moose City is not far away, coldly looking at the fire tent with less than half of the troops left in front, complacently saying. Originally, the war was unfair. Flint fought against so many towns. According to Lord Mu's idea, as long as the two camps come out during the battle, and the gap is so obvious, they randomly stir up the flames to shake the opponent's fighting spirit, Huoshi town will be defeated. The soldiers in Clinker Flint town don't know what happened, but they seem to be crazy one by one in this adversity. If it wasn't for their large number this time, it would be really hard to distinguish. After several battles, the number of the other side is less than half, but the loss is also heavy. Now that the victory or defeat is almost certain, the Lord of Moose City wants to surrender directly. Otherwise, if he consumes it, he will lose 801,000. Huoding gave a sneer, and his face was splashed with the blood of someone who didn't know. Despicable, don't ask me to Huoding with your suit. The Lord Mu's face sank suddenly, and he hummed coldly, no tears will fall if you don't see the coffin. In that case, I'll let you die happily. After that, he waved his hand directly, and the soldiers behind him came forward one after another. Another battle broke out on the top of the mountain. Look! It's Daddy Huolinger, Yunwoo, and Long Qingxia are standing in the air, overlooking the battle below. At this time is the fierce time of the war, a large number of people gathered together, but Huolinger just recognized Huoding's position at a glance. When I saw that Huoding was safe, I was relieved at last. Sister Yun, what should we do? Do you want to go directly to? Huolinger turns his head and looks at the Cloud Dance, some anxiously says. However, the Clinker Cloud Dance shook his head and said, he was caught by Yulin town because I was involved in the grave. In this case, I can't interfere anymore. What about that? Huolinger asked. Cloud Dance bowed his head to think, eyes staring at the flaming figure, eyes narrowed, said, I have a way. After that, a white jade card appeared in the palm of the hand. Isn't that the key to the grave? Huolinger exclaimed. Cloud Dance nodded and said, at the beginning, I accepted the inheritance and inherited the tomb. But the power in this jade card is separate and does not belong to the category of inheritance. I haven't had time to absorb those powers, so this jade card is always with me. Do you mean that instead of letting you show up to help Huiding fall into the limelight, it's better to find a way to help him improve his strength, so that even if you leave later, those people in Yulin don't dare to look for trouble anymore? Long Qingxie narrowed his eyes and said the idea of Cloud Dance. That's right. Yunwu nodded. Having said that, Yunwu's heart moved, which directly mobilized the power of the jade plate. A pure power flowed from the jade plate and floated towards the fire below. The power is very small. If you don't look carefully, you can't find it at all. But Yunwu is not satisfied. He directly mobilizes the white fog in the Chaos Palace to wrap the power, and then slightly controls it. Even if you look carefully, you can't see it. That force has been drifting towards the fire. Fire Tang, who is fighting with the Lord of Mu City, was originally not supported because the Lord of Mu City called another person. At this moment, the clinker suddenly felt a force gushing out of his body. When this force touched his body, it consciously fused with the fighting spirit in his body, and instantly added up all the strength he had consumed before. Fire Tengaleng, still don't know how to return a responsibility of time, in the ear suddenly spreads a cool voice. Keep your strength and absorb all the strength. It's enough for you to advance. The cold voice of Cloud Dance was transmitted by internal force, and no one heard it except Huiding and the other two people in the sky. Huiding instantly heard whose voice it was, who else could it be except Cloud Dance? For some reason, Huiding suddenly became excited, as if a dying man had suddenly found a savior. He knew the strength of Yunwu. As long as Yunwu came, he would be saved, and Huisher town would be saved. At present, Huiding tries to cover up the ecstasy in his heart, but he is absorbing the power desperately. A long sword stabbed at him from one side. Huiding dodged the attack. Then several successive attacks attacked him, but all of them were avoided. What's the matter? The master of Mu City was surprised. He was just like the end of a crossbow. At this time, he looked more than enough to avoid the attack. How did the Fire Ting suddenly become powerful? Don't worry about him. I think he wants to go all out, said another. Mu Chengzi nodded, it's possible, but for the sake of insurance, add other people. After that, he called another city leader. Huiding calmly looks at the three people in front of him. Just now, both of them have already worked very hard. Now he has just begun to absorb strength. There is still a little distance from promotion. I'm afraid it's very difficult to deal with it. Let go and I'll help you. The cold voice came again. Huiding took a deep breath. He took the lead in attacking the opposite person. That person sees Fire Tang to unexpectedly direct to greet to come over, immediately sneer say, exceed one's ability. Then the silk is not soft, directly to attack, toward the Fire Tang hello in the past. Originally thought that Huiding, who was already at the end of the crossbow, would be hit by himself. But unexpectedly, this attack contains a powerful force. When the two forces collide, the city leader will be hit directly. Above the sky, Cloud Dance lightly takes back his hand, glances at the city lord who has been hit and flies, and continues to look at the battle situation below. What's the matter? Why has he suddenly become so strong? Another city leader is also flustered, so it is not the end of the storm at all. In the heart of Lord Mu, it seems that the Fire Tang on the opposite side is getting stronger and stronger. Is it a secret skill? In this world, there are some secret arts that can improve people's strength in a short time, but all of these secret arts have sequelae, but they have to be used when it comes to life and death. He must have used some secret arts. There is a time limit for them. Let's hold him down first. Mu Chengzu made a quick decision. This words another city lord also nodded. However, Huiding did not intend to delay. As time goes on, Huiding's strength becomes stronger and stronger. Later, only relying on the master of Mu City, they are not his opponents at all. The war situation changed so fast that the Lord Mu called all the other lords to deal with him. Yunwu stood in the sky and helped from time to time. All the people who were hurt by her were basically seriously injured and had no combat effectiveness in a short time. If you are free, take care of other situations. Don't let Firestone die too much. Cloud Dance looks at a side-idle boring dragon to pour evil to say. Long Qingxie stretched out his hand to yawn and said, I'm afraid I'll crush all the shrimps with my hand. Having said that, Long Qingxie raised his hand and released his strength. Yunwu promptly mobilized the white smoke on the third floor of Chaos Hall to help Long Qingxie cover the movement. You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.